But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to get okay.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's light in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
What's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening, and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, got another doozy for you. Look, as you know me, I'm a weird guy of many interests, and in this particular case, there's always this theme that's stuck in my head, and we talk about folklore and mythology and all manner of things. Of course, artificial intelligence and the paranormal, and the aspect of aliens and the cosmos and all the rest. Right? There's so many things that are fascinating as hell in the modern day. Okay, and I do recognize some of that's been compromised. There are ops in play. People, tell tall tales, all kinds of things. Right? There's all this sort of mix of interesting things afoot in terms of these ideas. But to me, when you look at mythology and folklore and go all the way back, it seems like there's way too many parallel themes to suggest that something here is, well, not more than we give it credit for. You know what I mean? Meaning that it's like this. That if so many things go back to what I like to term deep magic from the dawn of time, shout out C.S. Lewis from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, of course, one of those amazing chapters he wrote as part of that. And then, of course, there's that deeper layer that I always talk about in that same sense, deeper magic from before the dawn of time. Now, in that particular aspect, and what we're going to talk about tonight, is that concept yet again, except, of course, in a different way, because if you look at a lot of different mythology and folklore throughout the years, it seems to have parallels. It seems to have interesting ideas that not only echo each other across time and space, different places on Earth, of course, different cultures, but different times in history. We're talking 1,000 years ago. We're talking 5,000 years ago. We're talking all the way back to the original civilization of Ur, U-R, 15,000 years ago, something to that regard. And when you look at all of these, the folklores, the mythologies, the pantheons, even these rules, maybe these rules of that deep magic from the dawn of time, there's some striking things that come to mind. And I found this pretty cool little article. I'm trying to do something a little more, folklorish tonight to kind of get us away from, the big news of the day. I won't even tell you what that is. If you don't know what that is, then, well, we'll get that to get to that another time. But I found this a cool little article, and this is from legendsofamerica.com. And wouldn't you know it kind of it touches on a lot of things. And specifically, the headline is this: The Hidden City of Death Valley. Okay? Don't worry, we'll get to the mythology and the folklore in a second here. And I was cruising through this, and it's got all the stuff you'd expect, right? Underground caverns, it's got mummies, it's got giants. This link is in the description if you want to read up and check this out. Trace of giants found in the desert, 1947. Howard E. Hill of Los Angeles. We've seen some of these pictures before. They say they've been faked and all the rest of this. And look, whatever. I'm not even talking about that tonight. It is cool because it's part of this, but this article has, several different aspects of the underworld and these maybe hidden caverns. And in this case, it's Southern Nevada. It's the Death Valley's right over here. Like it's about an hour and a half drive from where I'm at to that spot that hits 135 degrees or whatever the hell it is. But anyway, I found this as part of this article, and it's called the Kingdom of Shin-Ah-Av. Probably saying that poorly. It's an old Paiute legend. Paiutes, of course, are native to Southern Nevada and Arizona, and yes, it's the native tradition here. Check this out, though. For centuries, legends of an underground city and an ancient race in Death Valley have told in the Paiute legend of the Kingdom of Shin-Ah-Av, A-U-A-V. This place, meaning God's land or ghost land, is sacred to the Paiute. According to the legend, thousands of years ago, an important Paiute chief lost his wife. Devastated, the leader was so overcome with grief and sorrow, he began to think that life without her was not worth living. He soon decided to take his earthly body into the land of the dead. Following the trail of brave Indian spirits through endless underground passages, the journey was long and difficult. As he traveled, he was besieged by evil spirits, fierce beasts, and supernatural demons. Finally, though, on his brave journey was rewarded by glorious sunlight at the end of the trail, but he had yet one more ordeal: crossing an extremely narrow rock bridge that arched over a bottomless canyon. But he could see the beautiful green meadows of the Spirit Land across the way and determinedly made his way safely across. And so in this case, entering the great kingdom ruled by Shin-Ah-Av, he was welcomed by a beautiful maiden who was the daughter of Shin-Ah-Av, the land itself. The princess took the hand of the brave chieftain and led him to a large natural amphitheater. There the chief looked upon thousands of dead and happy Paiute dancing in a huge circle. So instead of other sort of underworld gloom and doom, this seemed to be a massive party. Everybody was happy to be there. Though he was no doubt pleased to see the dead were happy, he bemoaned, quote, "I will never find my wife in the crowd," end quote. The princess promised him that he would, and instructed him to sit at the edge of the circle watching until his wife would pass. She then left him momentarily, returning with food and drink to make him comfortable. Okay, this is where the plot thickens. When she returned, she left him with one more directive. Quote, "When you see your beloved wife, carry her off quickly without either of you making a backward glance. Then travel back the way you came." Okay. The backward glance. The chief agreed and sat patiently waiting to see his wife dance by. After several days, he saw several people he had known in the past, including friends and enemies, but had not yet seen his beloved wife. Just as he was beginning to despair, he saw her approaching late on the third night. He ran to her with his arms spread wide, grabbed her, and the two then fled the valley hand in hand, moving towards the ribbon bridge that crossed the great chasm. But for all his bravery and determination, the chief risked a quick look back at the beautiful valley. In that brief moment, he was suddenly standing alone. In the end, he made his way back to his people, where he spent the rest of his life telling the story of the wonders of the beauty of the kingdom of Shin-Ah-Av. And thus, the legend was born, passed down from one generation to the next for years to come. A great article. It talks about giants and some other stuff, but that's the one that caught my attention specifically for the reason and the idea of that folkloric aspect of don't look back. Comes into what is it? I had a huge list here. Lot's wife is one, the pillar of salt. There's Eurydice. I can't remember. Anyway, I'll tell you about that when we get back. Let me check my notes. But the question here tonight is back to C.S. Lewis and deep magic from the dawn of time. How come we have so many of these tales that are folklore, that are mythology from all over the world that seem to echo these exact style of rules? Think the Fey realm. Think Alice in Wonderland, eat me, drink me. Think the food and beverage of this other place that you're not supposed to touch, apparently. And you're not supposed to look back on your way out of the underworld. So I'm calling this tonight the Cross-Realm Code of Conduct. Exit velocity and form integrity. We'll talk about what that stuff means when we get back. But the question for you guys tonight is, how come it seems there is this idea from all over, old and new, all over the world, of this exact single folkloric idea? It's almost as if this is embedded deeply, so deeply within our universal psyche that maybe in some degree this is true. What do you know about it? We're taking your calls tonight if you want to be part of the conversation. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. But in the meantime, we're going to be right back and get a word from our sponsor. In this case, that is Human Inspiration. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. We got James coming up and your calls as well. If you want to chime in here. What is it with these deep laws and this cross-realm code of conduct? Be right back. More Troubled Minds, 1 minute.
In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, now check this out. So the Cross-Realm Code of Conduct. Do you think there is one? And how come they echo so closely across time and space? Here on Earth, of course. Well, let me read this to you. Now, I was doing some brainstorming and kind of wondering why this kind of was, and, looking into just real cool Troubled Minds level stuff. But check this out. I'll tell you what this is later, but I'm going to read this to you right now. It's the top blurb right on the write-up. I suggest you do read the write-up tonight. It's very good, as they usually are. But check this out. They say there is a road beneath all roads, a path that runs under the roots of the mountains and the veins of the sea. It is not for the living, but sometimes the living find it. In grief, in trance, in dream, or when the world above tears open. If you walk it, the air will feel wrong, as if the wind moves in both directions at once. You will meet faces you knew, and faces you never wished to know. Some will call your name. Some will try to give you gifts. Some will offer food that smells like the memory of your happiest day. Do not take it. If you eat, you will belong to this place, and it will keep you. Your blood will carry its rivers, your bones its stones. You will forget the sky above. Do not look back. The way is made of your will alone. If you turn to see the place you came from, the bridge will vanish behind you, and you will stand here forever, neither here nor there. Walk forward. When you see the gate, do not stop. Do not speak until the sun is warm on your face. Do not answer voices calling from behind, no matter how dear they sound. If you do these things, you may return, but you will not return unchanged. The dust of that place will cling to you, and in dreams, you will still hear the music of its halls. Someday, when the road beneath roads finds you again, it will know you. And you will know it. And then this gets into the Paiute story that we just tackled there. And so this is kind of looking at maybe the very first version of this, of where this idea possibly came from. And the brief version that you would tell somebody just before they set off on something like a shamanic journey, okay, or something similar. So I don't know. I thought that was really striking and really well put. And that's exactly the point of this. Why do we have all of these connections across time and across space here on Earth, different cultures and everything else, that talk about these same ideas? Don't look back. Do not eat anything of the other realm. There are tricksters that might offer you gifts. And the path is your will alone. And if that doesn't harken back to deep magic from the dawn of time, I don't know what does. Anyway, what do you think about that? How come there's such a striking similarity in so many different stories? I've got a big list of these stories that I'll read to you in a second here. We'll kind of give you the Persephone and Eurydice. And there's so many different ones. The Paiute legend. And, well, what do you know about it? As usual, this is a conversation amongst friends and just dreamers and thinkers. And why do you think this is? What is it with the don't eat or drink anything from the other realm and don't look back once you are on your way out? Love to hear what you think. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. James Salcido. What's going on, brothers? Thanks for being patient. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? And go right ahead. Nope. We've got static. I don't know what the hell is going on. James has an issue there with whatever you did, do the other thing, whatever that is. Maybe plug into the laptop or something. His headset is dying basically, and so we narrowed it down. We did some troubleshooting and figured out some of the things, but it looks like we haven't figured out exactly all the things. Or maybe he tried to. He said, "Never mind, it must be my entire PC." Try plug it into the. I don't think it's the PC. I think it's probably the jack you're plugging the headphone into, the headset into. Try plug it into the laptop. Anyway, sorry about that. I know that it is immensely frustrating when you think that we get things fixed and then they're not fixed. So anyway, okay. So as I was going through this, let me find the list here of all these different old legends that really kind of fit into this idea. And do you think there is really, the question tonight becomes this idea, the cross realm code of conduct? Do you think there is something like this that would actually allow us to not just descend into other realms, but also rules that need to be followed for us to return? And that, like I said, seems very, very specific, kind of very proto-magic, kind of very, well, almost as if this type of thing is deep magic from the dawn of time. Here we go. Okay, so there's Persephone and the pomegranate. Abducted by Hades, Persephone is offered food in the underworld. She eats 6 pomegranate seeds, binding her to return for 6 months of every year, which this one we know well. It isn't mere nourishment. The seeds are an anchor, ensuring she cycles between the worlds. Okay, there. And that was the one thing. So they tried to get, if you remember that tale, they tried to appeal to Zeus, Jupiter, depending on Greek or Roman, and they were not able to free Persephone because she had eaten of the realm. And so even the ancient gods here are bound to these rules and had to sort of succumb to this ancient magic from the dawn of time. You get what I mean? This proto magic. And so what they did in that particular case with Persephone and Hades and the pomegranate and that whole bit is that, well, okay, she ate 6 pomegranate seeds. So the trade-off they made was that she had to spend 6 months in the underworld and 6 months with her mother on Earth. And so again, even the ancient gods couldn't kind of crack these. Here's another one. So Celtic and Irish and Scottish lore, eating fairy food in the other world makes you forget the mortal realm and traps you there. Sometimes the food appears glorious, but is actually rotting leaves or ash. Glamour concealing the trap. The danger is not just entrapment, but transformation as the food shifts your nature to match theirs. Japanese. Yokai, I think is how you say it, Yokai, and Yomi feasts. In Japanese tales, those who eat food in Yomi, or the land of the dead, or from Yokai hosts, spirits, I would presume, are unable to return home. The food binds the eater's sole residence to that realm, making re-entry into the human world impossible without ritual purification. And so, like I said, it goes on, it goes on. There's Hopi, there's the Norse, there's Alice in Wonderland, which is one of the ones that we know very well with the eat me, drink me, and that whole bit. And this is, I don't know, it's a strange thing to consider that maybe there are metaphysical rules in this capacity that actually control the conduct, this cross-realm code of conduct as part of it. Now, I've gone through and made up a kind of a list of these, what these rules might look like. Specifically, we'll start with exit velocity and form integrity, which means clearly the two laws we just described. In some capacity, once you're on your way out, you do not look back. If you look back, you doom everything you went there for. 2, if you eat of that realm when you're in that realm, it angers you. You are stuck. And even, back to Persephone and Hades, the gods, even the gods of old, Zeus and Jupiter, could not break that deep magic from the dawn of time and had to compromise somehow. You see what's going on here? It seems to me like this is so ancient. This goes back so far that maybe, just maybe, there are actual metaphysical rules of the nether realm itself. Does that make sense? It seems ridiculous to say those words out loud, but you get what I mean. In terms of mythology and folklore, all of this stuff is so tight in terms of very specific things you can do or you cannot do. Very specific things of how you should, when you shouldn't, those types of ideas. And so, like I said, our goal here tonight, as one of many, of course, is to look at this and wonder why these things are so incredibly specific. Because it seems, there'd be a ton of willy-nilly as kind of locked into this, kind of baked into these old mythological or folklore ideas. However, in this particular case, it's very, very, very direct and very, very, very specific. There's more. Let's see. Okay, the Hopi, the Norse, Hell's Table. Yeah, tons of stuff. So I can read you more of these, but look, I don't know. Biblical Lot's wife, when fleeing Sodom, Lot's wife is told not to look back to the city's destruction. Many of you know this one. She does and instantly turns into a pillar of salt. This version frames the backward glance as an attachment to a doomed past, punished with total immobilization. Once again, right? Don't look. It's a strange thing. This entire thing is really odd to me. And like I said, the more I'm thinking about this, the more it kind of feels as if there is some sort of maybe unwritten rule book that has been passed on through the oral tradition forever, where these things are actually real. And interestingly enough, I've kind of got a loose framework for what that might look like. And we'll start with exit velocity, don't look back, and form integrity, meaning do not eat or drink of another realm while you're there, because of course it will corrupt your form. So we'll talk about that as we go. And I don't know, what do you know about this? And why is it that some of this stuff, like I said, is very, very, very direct and very, very, very specific, even though it's, again, from all over the world, from hundreds of years ago to thousands of years ago, back to the very first civilization of Ur. You are. Why? Why does it? Why? Just why? I don't know. That's what's on my mind tonight. I hope you guys are well. Sorry about that, James. If you try swapping the laptop. I think it's probably a jack on your computer. We've narrowed it down to it's hardware in some capacity. We don't know exactly what the plug part is, but anyway, we'll hope to get James back here momentarily. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. We got Joe on the line, and we'll take your calls as we go. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. But what do you know about this? And why is it that this seems to be, as I said, very, very direct and very, very specific? Because that in particular is the rub here. If you think this is nonsensical fairy tales, then shouldn't these ideas be fractured? Shouldn't they be different? Shouldn't they be across time and space and culture? All manner of wild ideas. Instead, it seems very much the same. As if the proto-magic, or that deep magic from the dawn of time, has a say in exactly what we're dealing with tonight. 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. We got hopefully more from James here to get him started. We got Joe in Florida and your calls as well. Be right back.
From shadows deep I rise anew. No chains to bind, I've broken through. Echoes fade, I'm up and gone. The underworld, it feels so wrong. With every step I'm shedding weight. No looking back, it's time to create. With every step I'm shedding weight. No looking back, it's time to create. Feel the rhythm pulse inside. Ignite the fire, let it ride. We're chasing dreams, not holding back. The underworld's lost in the track. The anchor of the past fall away. In this bright light I choose to stay. Vibes electric, I'm soaring high. No regrets, just reach for the sky. Feel the rhythm pulse inside. Ignite the fire, let it ride. We're chasing dreams, not holding back. The underworld's lost in the track. Let the night unfold with grace. In this moment I find my place. No fear of shadows haunting me. The future calls, I'm finally free. Feel the rhythm pulse inside. Ignite the fire, let it ride. We're chasing dreams, not holding back. The underworld's lost in the track.
Yeah, right. Something like that. I thought that one was pretty good. Hope you're well tonight. What's up, James? We'll talk to him momentarily. What's up, Matt Sal, APOC, Joe in Florida. We'll talk to him as well. Kaushik is here. DJ Herschel. We got Don, Sweets, Daryl, and Jacob. See you guys. I hope you're well and hanging out and feeling fine. I feel fine. I hope you feel fine. What's up, Sweets? We got Fred and Eli first and second over there. Very consistent gentlemen. What's going on? Ioxy is here. What's happening, guys? Shane, we got James is there. Christy, good evening. Good evening. Buzz Aquino, I see the poetry. That's good stuff there. You paved the road before you with the choices made today. So please let yesterday guide you. Less mistakes along the way. Very nice. Very nice. What is up? Welcome back. How are you? Hope you're well. And yeah, Dawn is here. Herschel, I see you guys. If I missed anybody, just say hi, and I'll say hi back as we go over to Rumble. Yeah, I shortened the songs a little bit because I was finding myself struggling to say hi to everybody. So we got a little bit shorter songs, and now we can make everything work. Raz is here, gets first over there on Rumble. What's up, Gordo? That's Puff. Good evening, with all the different names. Miss Stoned. Hello, hello. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. I'm just, like I said, I feel fine. Yeah. Fine. I had a nap even. What's up? It's because even back in history, they knew cool guys don't look back. Yeah, there you go. Right. There you go. Buzz Aquino over there on Rumble as well. Good evening. If I missed you guys, YY is here. Hello. And yeah, you guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out and thanks for being part of this and caring about the ideas. And what do you know about it? This one, like I said, when you look back at these sort of granular aspects of folklore and mythology, there's so many parallels that I don't think this is just Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung. I think there's something way deeper here. And the question is, are we actually toes in the ocean of figuring out the actual proto-magic of the beginning of humankind? Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting and 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, could there be a set of ancient laws born from the first crossings between worlds, still hidden in our myths? Rules of sight, breath, silence, and offering, that if followed might allow someone to step into another realm and return unchanged. Yeah, that's puts us pretty much where we need to be, and I love the fact that you can be succinct about this and you can be verbose about this, and it really, there's so much here that, like I said, I've got a loose framework of what these ancient laws might look like. We'll talk about that as we go, but we'll start with exit velocity and form integrity, which are clearly just fancy ways of saying eat me, drink me, bad, and don't look back on your way out. And James is... Test, you're coming through badly again. I have no idea what is going on with that. So we basically tried everything then. That's your laptop, right? So we tried, that's the headset on the PC. That's the headset on the laptop. I don't know. I'll need to get the details, but yeah, that's horrific. I'm sorry about that, James. I thought we had it narrowed down. I was a 95% confidence level that we had narrowed it down to exactly what the problem was. But now we have two different versions of the same problem on two different machines. Anyway, if you feel up to it, James, ping me on what that is, and we'll see if we can get that fixed. Again, apologies. I know how frustrating that is when it's go time and you want to talk about this stuff. And he spent time reading the stuff and, collaborating with me a little bit when we started this show tonight. So before the show, I mean. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. James, shoot me over a message, and I'll see if we can get this fixed on the fly here. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Joe in Florida. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Chilling, man. Doing Troubled Mind stuff. This is, again, kind of a parallel to some of the things we've talked about in the past, but what's your take? Go right ahead.
It's all right. Well, I've been calling on the phone just to tell James I've been having the same issue. I could hear you on Discord. But something got updated where I clicked the sound setting, and I've been getting static ever since. And then I tried to test it and I watched some videos on it, so I just haven't bothered because I only use Discord for this. I could tune into the show. But anyway, like you mentioned Joseph Campbell, and if Jen's listening, I might say the hero's journey. But looking back, immediately without really doing any research, just coming to mind, looking back, or in modern times, the grass is always greener. We want to do something, go back to that. But at the same time, I think looking back is for temptation. Lest you look back to be tempted. If we stare into the abyss stares back at us. We become the monsters, that we look at. And history is fraught with wars and killing. I mean, we're pretty violent, I would think, but I guess maybe, who knows, though, comparable to what? We don't know anything else. But, there's always killing, always. And, on the joke side of it, I was kind of just thinking about it. I'm like, in modern times, the temptation of looking back is like, you go to get a 2-for-1 lap dance, and you're done, and you're getting ready to walk out, and, you look back, and there's the private room, and you don't want to do the private room, so you just got to keep walking out. But it's temptation, and that's what I take it as. But what kind of twisted me, thinking about this very quickly in the last few minutes when we started the show, we should look back at the history, right? So in that sense, technically, or however you want to split it or word it, we should look back at the history so we don't repeat it. I was just telling myself that for the last few minutes, but that's because probably we're all the good guys. We look back at the history so we don't repeat it. We read these stories so we don't repeat it. But what if it just kind of twisted me? Maybe everybody gets it. I just didn't. It's a perspective thing, and we have to put ourselves in people's perspectives. When I work at the funeral home, I simply try to put myself in somebody's shoes, try and get a little bit of empathy, and move along. But in the large scale of things, what if our leaders, some of them at least, are archetypes or narcissists, and they also look back in the history, and they're fine with all of that negativity, killing, and everything. They're fine with all of that, and where we're looking back at it to not repeat it, they're looking back at it for the purpose of repeating it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it does draw you back, right? So I think in that liminal space, we're talking about sort of moving into the underworld, the shamanic journey, some of these other mythological aspects of these tales as old as time, basically, that looking back in a temporal space, in that liminal space, that, as you're describing, is one way to really, condemn yourself, because as usual in the human temporal space, we only, have the meat suit experience, only, 80, 100 years tops type of thing. Like if we look, but you spend too much time sort of dwelling on the past, you do doom yourself. You damn yourself to the eternity of what was, instead of the potentiality of what could be as part of it. I think that's as poignant as anything we're probably going to touch on tonight, because this is once again a very human aspect. And dare we suggest, even in modern times, something like that could be considered, the toes in the ocean of that proto magic. I don't know, wild stuff. I love that take. Go ahead.
Well, and when you say it was a breakaway, whatever you were saying earlier, breakaway speed or breakaway, two things immediately come to mind. Most of our listeners would probably agree with it. We're at the precipice of the Star Trek future or the dystopian future. And if we were to look at Star Trek, and we all end up using TV shows and things like that because it's been written and all of that. And sometimes I feel like it's not an original thought, but I just put that out there. I don't mean to offend anybody because I'm using a show right now. But do we want to use the technology that we have now to create a better future and not look back? Don't look back, right? We tell them, don't look back. If we were able to get into that future, we would not have a reason to look back. We would hopefully have our basic needs met. But even in that Star Trek future, the Earth went through a devastating war, and that was part of that folklore for Roddenberry's, sci-fi. And then we see plenty of, we always go back to Orwell and things like that, and that's coming, all of that is quietly, as we speak, coming to pass. Things being rewritten and things in the news that are being taken off at the Library of Congress, right? So I don't know if you call it the echo chamber. I forget what you call it. It's been so long since I've read Orwell, but or listen to the interview of the boot on our throat. Putting the boot on the throat of humanity and the chance to escape that. And maybe we're not looking back. Maybe a lot of us want to get into that positive future, but the people that lead us are so drunk with power or created like that. That's an excuse. I don't know. But it's cyclical. It's cyclical. So we have these stories, and that's the other thing with these stories. I think these stories, the Bible, all of these books, times change, people stay the same. It's in the Matrix. It's in the code. I don't want to give too much away because somebody was asked not to give anything away in the Sandman. But basically in the Sandman, you have these anthropomorphic deities running around like humans, but they can't escape their jobs. And even me, I didn't intend to be a funeral director. I had no intent to be a funeral director. And the few times that I've tried to leave or get out, something, not that it snaps you back in for money or something, but it's never money. Well, it has been money once or twice, actually, because somebody gave me a nice tip at the cemetery. But most of the time, in all honesty, it's a letter, it's a hug, it's something positive. It makes you say, I'm not leaving this anytime soon. I am not changing anytime soon. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. I look back on a lot of things I could have done. Offers to work for 3-letter agencies, things like that I've aged out of. Do I regret it? Maybe for a split second. Because if I did those things, if I went down that path, down that story, I wouldn't have maybe the life that I have now. For better or for worse, who can judge? I have a roof over my head. For the time being, I'm kind of healthy. I'm on the talk show with you guys, kind of chilling out before the weekend. I get to DJ tomorrow night. I enjoy that. Right? So who knows? The road, the other path less traveled. Why would I look back?
Yeah, well said.
And I think we all have a tendency to. We all have a tendency to look back. But if looking back is the abyss, or just be careful you don't get consumed, I guess. I don't know how to end that in any good format, but, again, if I look back at the strip club, I'd have a lot of credit card debt. So you don't even want to look back there because you don't want to get suckered in. Have a couple of drinks. Oh, you owe us this much money for 10 dances. It's like, bitch, please, I didn't do that many dances. I know I'm drunk, but I got to get out of here. So don't even go back there to begin with. That's the whole thing. So I don't need somebody taking all my, I don't need a girl taking all my money. My wife will kill me.
Amen. But, a new angle there that I didn't really consider as part of this is that it's still the same magic within the human space. Where even now, sort of, you could dwell on the past forever and damn your future forever. And so, even outside of that liminal space of the underworld we're talking about tonight and some of the mythology and folklore, it certainly does play just in the human lifespan as part of this conversation. Well said on all that. That's fantastic. What else you got? If anything else, go ahead.
Well, when it comes to that, all of us, and I alluded to this. I had I've had a couple of major events with my health and stuff, but I think reading before I got to the health things, I had a major event, and I'm not proud of it. But the thing that you have to learn to do is you're getting forgiveness from others. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself. So anybody out there that's feeling down or shitty for one reason or another, maybe something they did or something like that, you got to learn how to forgive yourself, whether it's a positive affirmation, something like that, and take a step back, because I've been having to do that. It's with my job and my life, my family life. You have to step back and appreciate what you have, and sometimes we all lose sight of that. I know I did for a little bit. I'm trying to put that in perspective. A lot of that for me was my age. Having a couple of things pop up that, you call it a midlife thing at my age or not. But for me, it's feeling out of touch with things. And even though I am pretty well still in touch with things, maybe I'm trying to, grow up, whatever that is. But I don't want to do that. I mean, I want to talk on this show. I want to talk about weird things. I want to talk about things that I can't talk about with normies, if that makes sense. So I guess I'll forgive myself and just keep being a little bit weird, right?
There's a guy named Robert Greene, who's a great writer, and I follow him on Twitter. Actually, you should too. Everybody out there, very good. But one of the things he says is that, being weird, what makes you different and unique is your superpower. And just because you're sort of ostracized from society as part of it, you shouldn't give it up, because it is what makes you unique. Not just that, it's what sort of empowers you against the space that's is so vanilla, the concrete jungle of today, when we're building amazing buildings 1,000 years ago. I mean, like, what the hell is going on with that? And so again, I agree with you. I'm a weirdo too. And this gives me an outlet to be that weirdo without just bottling this stuff up and wondering what the hell the underworld is and how come there are these specific rules all the way around the world forever talking about it directly. It seems pretty silly to me that there's not a larger connection made in some of these cases. And so here we are, man. Here we are having fun together.
They don't want it that way. I mean, like I think I said earlier, that perspective shift. The people that come to power, it's because they're not scared of who they're going to hurt on the way up. And when they get there, and that's a story as old as time. When they get there, they have to maintain power. And look at the technology. I mean, look at cultists. I mean, if we read it out of a history book, or we had it on cuneiform tablets, if it was on the walls, if it was on the paintings, hey, look, this is bad. This is very bad. The people in power would still not give that up. And I'll just use the oil industry. That's it. Like I said, the better we can have a better life, right? We know that there's probably different forms of energy out there where you could literally have a better life. And it's just denied. Because, and the thing is it's because there's not enough of us, and I dare use the word woke. Okay? A lot of us are confused. A lot of us are too busy paying bills. A lot of us are just too busy to look up. God damn it, and I don't want to get mad because I enjoy talking on this show. But that gets me a little emotional. There's not enough of us to look up, to do one thing, that one thing. Because like you say, if it bleeds, it leads, and every day the ground is shifting beneath us. We cannot get our footing. to stand up and say, can we just change one thing and go from there? It leaves you feeling powerless. It leaves me, at least in these last few years, in those last few months, it leaves me looking at other people and saying, I don't want to talk to these people because I'm not going to agree with a goddamn thing. So in that sense, it's hard to get out of that. I think it's harder now. I think it's harder now with the mass spread of information. It's harder now. With all those stories were clearly warnings to everything. And people read those stories around a campfire, around whatever it was. They read those stories. And then those stories were picked up and told to other people, hopefully of the same good nature. On the other end of it, there were probably people telling the opposite story. I mean, look at Jesus. Jesus was telling a good story. And his old people killed him. I guess I should probably end with that.
Yeah, you're gonna get me in trouble. You're the best, Joe. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for staying up late with us. Hey, keep playing hockey, man. Keep dreaming. Keep thinking weird and wild things.
Oh, dude,
it's what makes
my fingers are broken too.
Oh, really?
My fingers broke in 2 spots. Yeah, my fingers broke in 2 spots, and my blood pressure's been a little bit up. And usually, just riding a bike in Florida doesn't. Riding a bike 5 to 10 miles is not fun in Florida. So my blood pressure's been a little up. I got to get back on the ice. They want me off for 6 weeks. I looked at the doctor. I'm like, can I just splint it and put it in a glove? And he looked at me like I had 9 heads. And he's like, you guys, you know. So anyway, but yeah, I'm going to get back on the ice as soon as I can. I'll be DJing tomorrow, so I get to cover for my buddy like 2 or 3 nights a month. So that's kind of a good release. It's fun. But it's just so hot to do anything here. It's not fun. So, but anyway, thank you for that.
Yeah. And I'm not a doctor, but in the meantime, oats every morning will lower your blood pressure a little bit naturally. So maybe try that out.
Yeah, oats, and I appreciate it. And a little bit of fiber at night to keep me regular.
There you go.
And so you get in the bathroom. So
you were the best. Appreciate the call. Heal quick, and
have a good night,
always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon. You're the best.
Have a good weekend, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, you too. Take care. You know him, you love him. Joe in Florida. Again, shout out Kelly, was the first guy to call us and call back. Joe was the second guy to call us and call back. He's been a friend literally for 7+ years now, and always a great take. And again, part of that invisible process I always talk about. He's a funeral director. He's got a very unique view of the world because he is sort of handling that transaction we're talking about tonight, the transaction of the underworld. It's I can't imagine doing something like that. It certainly takes a certain individual to be able to handle those things. I can't imagine the stress level is part of it. So tonight we're talking about, appreciate the call, Joe. Always a pleasure. We're talking about this again. I'm calling it the Cross-Realm Code of Conduct, exit velocity and form integrity. I'll tell you what that means as part of these laws, because I was able to kind of break down what these laws might mean and how come. As usual, the question is, why are there so many similarities throughout time and geography and culture that literally directly say, do not look back on your way out from the other realm, the other world, the underworld, whatever you want to call it. Do not eat anything or drink anything when you're of that space, because you will get lost and be anchored in as part of it. Those are just 2 things. There's more as part of this, but what do you think? Why is it so specific and so direct? And how come, or let's say, is there more to this than we think there might be? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's cross our fingers and pray, everybody. Little bit of good mojo. James Salcido, are you there? I don't hear the big fuzz, which was crazy. Somebody, Jen Maya over there on X, shout out, said that that was happening to her Discord as well. So I think we might have some other things happening here that are not maybe what we think they are. If this might be Discord related. I don't hear you at all, James. Are you there? Test 1, 2. I don't know if you can hear me because nothing coming through. It might be just a setting tweak thing. James, are you there? Okay. Hang tight. Okay. Let me. Okay. There it is. It's not good. It is the bad noise. It is the bad noise again. I have no idea what the hell is happening. Like we've swapped all the things, done all the things, went to push to talk, and I feel like this is a Discord thing. Yeah. Ugh. Same, James. It is coming through horrifically. Okay, I'm gonna drop you down. That is ear crunching. Okay, so I have no idea. We did James and I did some troubleshooting a little ways back, and we thought we had this fixed, and I have no idea what the hell is happening. So once again, massive apologies to James there, because like I said, he's been looking forward to this tonight, not just testing it with the new microphone and stuff, but also he prepped up for this and was ready to go, and then we can't even. James, call back on the phone line. Yeah, you're welcome to sit there on the phone line if you're into that. I know that's a little different experience and kind of a pain in the butt for you, but if you, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. If you want to jump in here, call us back on the phone line, and yeah, you can sit in that way or however you want to do this, man. Like I said, I feel really bad because he put in some work. He helped me sort of brainstorm the ideas tonight. It's rough. It's rough. So sorry about that. Thanks again to everybody for being patient as part of it. I see there, Mr. Matthew in Colorado. I don't know why you left, but okay. Pop back in here and we'll talk momentarily. Okay, but I want to read this to you. This is, I think this is in the write-up, or it was part of the brainstorming process. Now, when we're talking about this idea of the cross-realm code of conduct, right? Exit velocity and form integrity. This is where this came from. Listen to this. So the first law, don't look back. Looking back is a reorientation of focus toward the realm you are leaving. In mythic logic, movement between worlds is intention-driven, a kind of spiritual momentum. A backward glance reestablishes the tether to where you've been, collapsing the liminal bridge and snapping you back into the old state. This could be symbolic of quantum observation. By measuring the departure point, you collapse the possibility of full transition into something irreversible. In a practical shamanic sense, it's about not splitting your will between realms. And that's the first one. And that's don't look back. The second law, and I've got a list of these, like 7 or 8 of these, which are incredible because it draws from folklore. It draws from mythology and these ideas that have been with us forever. Second law, don't eat or drink. Eating or drinking is the deeper commitment. While looking back reorients your consciousness, consuming the other world's food reprograms your essence. It's an internalization, literally taking the realm into yourself. In myth, this is the point of no return, because the realm now exists within your body. You've altered your resonance, making you incompatible with your origin world. This mirrors ideas from sympathetic magic, where consuming something is akin to binding yourself to it. Now, this is where these laws work together and where these actual terms came from, exit velocity and form integrity. Listen to this. How these two things work together in this ancient magic sense, proto-magic. The first law protects this exit velocity. Don't look back or you lose the momentum to leave. Second, the second law protects form integrity. Told you I'd explain what these meant. Don't consume, or you won't be the same being that's set out. And so you won't be able to return to your original reality. Does that make sense? Okay, I got a big list of these. And so really the question of tonight is, why are there so many rules, these mythological folkloric rules that are, again, all over, every culture all over the damn world, all manner of hundreds of years ago to thousands of years ago, all the way back to the very beginning of the human proto-civilization, we're telling these same tales about these same things as if there was some deep magic before the dawn of time rulebook or cookbook or something. And I'm calling that the cross-realm code of conduct. And not only is it possible, at least in my mind, that we knew all of this so long ago, but now we're still telling these same damn stories, as Joe said very smartly, that maybe these are all warnings. These are all things that have been abused, or these are things that have been, well, trapped people. And now we just joke about them as if they are, you know, a good old story. I don't know. What do you think? Is there such thing as a proto-magic, as I like to talk about, that deep magic from the dawn of time, or even deeper from before the dawn of time? And how weird does it get? And what do you know about this? What about eat me, drink me? What about eating in other realms, looking back on your way out? Seems like there's a lot here, but maybe I'm dreaming. And if I am, cool. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Love to hear your thoughts on this. We got Matthew in Colorado coming up and your calls as well. Be right back. More on the way.
Drifting through the quantum haze. Mind entangled in a daze. Whispers in the neural mist. Echoes of what might exist. Lost in time in this web we spin. It's alright beyond our skin. Consciousness forever twined in the dark unseen. Quantum dreams, we're all connected. Though we're scattered, we are reflected. Frequencies that pull us in. Parallel worlds kept within. Synapses that intertwine. Fragments of an endless line. Feel the pulse of a distant star. It's alright, we are who we are. In the void we find the light. Entangled hearts. Quantum dreams, we're all connected. In the silence, hear the call. One by one we rise and fall. Quantum minds forever near. In this world so clear. Quantum dreams, we're all connected. Though we're scattered, we are reflected. Dark energy in the depths we find. Mysteries of the human mind. Particles that drift afar. Whispers of who we are. Hold the thread of the great unknown. It's alright, we are never alone. Flow through time on currents thin. Universe is found within. Feel the echoes of the past. In this moment, futures cast. Through the veil of the space between. It's alright, life's a lucid dream.
Hello, friends, and shout out James. I know he took off. I'm frustrated there. I don't know. I was at 95% confidence level with that we had it figured out, and then now every damn thing that we had figured out is broken. So we got some work to do still. So sorry about that. Good thoughts for James out there. Thanks for trying and sticking through some of that. That's horrific. Yeah, Herschel said that sounds like James is killing a dragon, right? Yeah, it was that noise is awful. What's up, Buzzakino? North Vixen's here. What's up, Puff? I see you guys. Gordo. Hello. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. YY. Good evening, guys. We got Raz is here. Great comments already. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, kind of being locked into these conversations. Look, even if they're off the beaten path, come on now. That's why we're here, right? We're not here to talk about like political narratives or whatever. What's up, Matt Sal, Eric, APOC? We got Joe in Florida. Thanks for the call. What's up, Akashic? We got Mike, Roving Fungus, Jeff and Wisco. What's up, Jacob, DJ in Kansas, Daryl, Gaston, Sweets, and Herschel. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out and being part of it. Over to YouTube. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Mr. Mission Control is here. Baba Yaga on X, or is that on Discord? How you doing? Good evening. Hello. Christy is here. Jen, the Arcane Observer. What's happening, folks? Hello. Yeah, I don't know. It does sound like a bad connection, like a bad plug or something. But somebody said, who was it? Somebody on X said that happened to their Discord as well. So I don't know exactly what's happening with it, but I thought we had it fixed today, but clearly we don't. Anyway, here we go. Troubled Minds happening right now. Matthew in Colorado, when your call's coming up, here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting and 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Shout out to our friend Jason over there on YouTube. I missed you, buddy. Welcome to the thing. Tonight we're talking, deep magic from the dawn of time. You know I love this because not only does it sort of touch up on C.S. Lewis and that idea that there are these sort of mystical, metaphysical laws that go back way before humanity, and we're just kind of living in that world trying to kind of eke them out from dreams and mystic symbolism and the shamanic journey and people talking about these ideas. But the thing that gets me when you talk about, as I'm calling it tonight, the cross realm code of conduct, which don't look back on your way out from this realm to the next, don't eat or drink anything of that realm or it binds you in some capacity, and exit velocity and this form integrity are these rules as remembered and passed on by the ancients, culture to culture, thousands, hundreds of years, you name it. It's all over the place. And it does make me wonder if there's something to that larger context of what ritual magic is, or even beyond ritual magic itself, back to the idea of that proto magic, like some level of actual metaphysical laws that we've been trying to catch up to ever since humans were a thing. I don't know. Seem weird? Too weird? Not weird enough? You tell me. Lots of ways to look at this, and that's why we do this. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Thanks for being patient, my man. Matthew in Colorado. You are on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? All yours. Go right ahead.
Well, hopefully my Discord works. Can you hear me okay?
Sound okay. No problem there. No slaying dragons tonight. James has got a slew of them he's handling.
I'm going to go with, actually, it's a short Discord to his mic or something. Well, anyways.
Well, real quick on that, because now we're brainstorming this because we've been through this. It was his headset, and he threw that out, and he's using a completely new thing with it, which is a USB instead of the pink and the green. So I thought we had it licked, and now he's got a whole new device that's not only happening on his desktop, but on his laptop also. So it almost seems like it's a software Discord thing. Anyway, yes, but that's definitely what it sounds like. Welcome to the thing. I'll shut my mouth about tech issues. Go ahead. What you got?
Well, I just, starting out with, generally speaking, the entering a different realm, it does strike me how similar the stories, I don't really, you could use the term myth, but that makes it sound like it's false and made up. And I think a lot of times things are referred to as myth when they're just not comprehended or accepted by Western minds, right? Oh, it's this myth, this like it's a made up story or fantasy or fiction. Well, and some of them may have, it's kind of like a fishing story, perhaps. The fish gets bigger and bigger every time you tell the story. But a lot of times they have, their roots in truth or our truth. They're just kind of fantastical tales. And I was thinking about other similar ones with like Shambhala and people talking about going inside Mount Shasta, right? And there's just a lot of these stories of people crossing into other realms through various means, right? But they have, like you're saying, they have these similar themes. They have these similar sort of rules, similar experiences. Oh, and another one that came up when you were describing the what is it, the Paiute Indians of Arizona?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So that really reminded me that is probably where it seems so identical that's probably where they stole the idea for the movie with Robin Williams. I think it was Field of Dreams. Did you see that one?
No, What Dreams May Come, you mean, right?
What dreams? Right. The Field of Dreams is the baseball thing, but yeah, What Dreams May Come, right? Did you see that one?
I did. It's been a long time, but I remember when I saw it, I was very impressed and thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, it was excellent, and the basic theme and plot of the movie was he was going back to retrieve his wife, and had to cross over the realms, and wasn't it that movie where there's that horrific scene where he has to walk across all the skulls, and some of them are alive, or am I confusing two different movies?
I have no idea. It's been so long since I've seen it, I couldn't even tell you. But it sounds horrific either way.
Yeah, but he's basically, crosses over and gets into the other realm. And at first it's all magical and heavenly and everything like that. But then he has to go find her. And I'm not sure, but I think she had committed suicide. So she was kind of in a hellish type place, and goes down there to retrieve her. And was very similar. But so why is it that we have so many of these motifs, so many of these themes from so many cultures, from all around the world? And like you said, for hundreds or thousands of years, is that just coincidence? Is it some type of archetype, or is there something legitimate, objective that happens? That's the basis for these. And in terms of the first two things that you mentioned about Don't Look Back and the sort of collapsing the quantum field, that one immediately made sense to me. I was like, yeah, okay. Now all of a sudden this silly little rule, don't look back, sources start to make sense that where you're focusing your attention, if your attention is going forward back out to your own reality, and you turn and look back, that puts your attention and kind of that observer effect back into the other realm. And that reminded me, I don't know how this fits in, but I've had experiences for a long time where, you have the different totem animals, right? Different power animals. And the owl became one of mine. And I've had visions and experiences with the owl. And one of the things that the owl can do is, darn near turn its head all the way around. It could definitely look behind itself just by turning its head without turning its body. And so for me, the experiences that I've had and the importance of the owl is, imagine it sitting on the branch of a tree facing the light, its breast facing the light, but it can turn its head and look back into the darkness and see into the darkness. But it doesn't get affected by it, because it hasn't turned its body, it hasn't turned its heart, it hasn't turned its breast, it hasn't. So the owl gives this unique ability to see and not be affected. And so somehow that occurred about the don't look back, that perhaps that's almost like a hack. Like if you had owl magic, maybe you could turn and look back without being affected. But
yeah, shout out Matzel, Temple of the Owl over there. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. And you're right. So again, the resonance of our heart, the electromagnetic fields of our physiology, and of course that goes into the animal kingdom. And so I do wonder if the ability to kind of look back behind you and keep your heart space, the chakras, however you want to describe this, as still forward facing. Maybe it is some sort of hack that goes back as not just deep magic from the dawn of time, but deeper magic from before the dawn of time that maybe is still locked into the animal kingdom somehow. I love that thought.
Yeah, and then yeah, these, like the stories of Shambhala, and it's a really long book, but if anybody has time to read it, The Mists of Avalon. So that's the story of the Arthurian legend, but it's all told through the women's perspective. And so you have Morgan and Morgana and Merlin's in it too, and they go to Avalon, which is this island, and you have to take this like rowboat out there, and at first, kind of it's almost like there's what do they call it, the wayfarer or whatever, the boat guy, and you have to be like part of the priesthood or priestesses, and the people that go to Avalon is this sort of this magical island that's in a realm that is accessible and sort of superimposed with the real world. And that's where Morgana and Merlin and stuff, they go there. And there's like a small community that live on Avalon. But as time goes on, what happens is magic fades from the world, and people like stop believing in magic, and they stop believing in Avalon. And what happens is that, and this doesn't ruin the book, but generally speaking, the island of Avalon starts fading into the mist and gets like harder and harder to reach and go to until, eventually it's in too much of a different realm.
Yeah, I dig that. And we've talked about that too, the power of belief and prayer. The monks you've brought up several times as part of these conversations. And so once again, I think there's an interesting element here when you're talking about magic or sort of metaphysical magic or ritual magic and things like that, that the power of prayer or the power of belief or the power of intention and all these things, they play somehow, even in a secular space, because as we're still learning about ourselves, the morphic field, the morphic resonance, the Rupert Sheldrake stuff, again, thank you for introducing us to that as well. There's a lot happening sort of within the vortex of the human experience, not just, as I said, the electromagnetic field, but the intention of and maybe directional of this particular thing. And maybe that's why, let's say with the morphic resonance or whatever that phenomenon is, where somebody's staring at the back of your head and they're there. You can't hear them. There's no way you should know, but they're there. Like, I wonder if we're picking up on a larger, I don't know, like an actual, the intentionality of looking and that observer effect, right? As part of what we described as when you first called in, is that you are, the intention is in front of you. You were watching it. And so there might be some actual perturbations with the quantum consciousness as part of it, and maybe that's why we pick up these fields or these energies. I don't know. It's all incredible to me to consider it, but maybe, right? Maybe this is that ancient magic that is now becoming modern science, all in the same space.
Yeah, and it is just a really interesting thing to combine sort of, Sheldrake's morphogenetic field and morphic resonance, and, which I always say, he didn't really invent that idea of, let's just call it collective consciousness, or Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious. But what he did was bring a more scientific take on it, because he's a biologist. Yeah. So he did, studies and experiments, and quite a few of them. He developed an application where that you could sign up, and it's a phone app, and where people have when your phone rings, and as soon as it rings, you like think of somebody and that you haven't thought of or heard from in 6 months, and you pick up your phone and sure enough it's them. That's another phenomena. And he developed a phone app and got, thousands of people to do an experiment of when the phone would ring, they would use the app and make a guess of who was on the phone. And, so he's collecting, the more scientific data for something that's, been a known concept in a couple different areas or explained different ways. But the interesting thing, kind of like the myths of Avalon or the concept of the old gods, and that when people stopped believing in them, they kind of faded away. But we had a show, I know, a couple of years ago, where if the people start believing in the gods again and getting interested in the gods, does it resurrect them? Does our attention, the energy of our consciousness, the focus of our attention, does that flow out and connect these things, connect to the realms, connect to the beings, to the archons or the archetypes or the old gods or something like that? And this, Terence McKenna, who of course had the trialogues with Sheldrake, he has a whole book called The Archaic Revival. And the concept of the book was, going back to some of the archaic shamanic practices, ingesting hallucinogens and these sorts of things. And, excuse me, maybe there's, his idea was this is something that might be appropriate and important with our modern world, where we're getting lost in technology and everybody's staring at their cell phones. And maybe we had some really good stuff back in the past, when people were trance dancing and doing hallucinogens and doing dream work and concerned with these other realms, before, they call it the Age of Enlightenment, but basically that means, the dawn of science displacing religion. And maybe in a way, these aren't the perfect words, but in a way, maybe there's something we kind of lost and got left out that's missing, that's important, that we need back again right now, because we're in a precarious time.
Tell me about it. And again, you're preaching to the choir, and thanks for guiding that back to my fractured thought of that belief. Maybe imagine if sort of that idea of, the monks, meditating together for weeks and days at a time, however long that was, months, whatever it was. It's supposedly, again, I'd like to see this replicated and continue to maybe even grown into larger nodes of this happening, brings down the crime rate. Okay. Now, if the same thing happens in the sense of belief, or like we discussed previously, and you brought up the old gods, imagine if we all started believing in them again, would their influence, maybe not the entities themselves, but the human influence of us, the energy of us recognizing them, would that come back into the world? And I don't know. I mean, I think it's relevant to consider it, because we still can't really quantify what a prayer is. It just changed things, obviously, even in a secular space, like I said, measurable or otherwise as yet. But I would not be shocked if suddenly a lot of these old ways that we've discovered scientifically now are going to start changing things in ways that we never dreamed, as part of this quickening I'm always talking about. And then what was the other thing? And then back to where you finished, I think we are, that's exactly the point. That's why I'm here as often and as passionately as I am, because I think we're missing something. And if we entirely just ditch the old ways, we are in for a hell of a ride. And so let's not forget, I'm not saying, let's go worship Mithra or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that maybe, just maybe, there's something to some of these old entities or ideas or frequencies. Maybe. I mean, maybe not. But I think you're right. I think that forgetting some of this stuff might lead us down some paths that are not the best. Not the best. Absolutely.
Well, you brought up an interesting, you slipped in one sentence there, a very nuanced thing about bringing back the gods. And then you said, or maybe not bringing back the gods, but the idea of them or whatever. And that's interesting, Michael, because you could consider, the placebo effect, which, as best I can recall scientifically, is 18%. Effectiveness of the placebo effect. So let's call it the power of belief, right? It works. It's known. It's scientifically proven. Okay, now just real quick, given the idea of believing in the gods, some old god or something, and even if the old god itself is not like reborn or brought back or etc., you still got that 18% placebo effect. However, I think it could potentially go beyond belief and the placebo effect because, like I said, maybe those gods weren't myths. Maybe they were real, and the demigods. And, again, how many cultures had these things? Kind of all of them. Is that just coincidence, a function of the human mind that, if God didn't exist, it would be necessary to invent him? Is it that, or were these actual beings and entities, and we have the stories of them, and so in that sense, then you would say they're real. And so it's not just a function of belief. It's not just the placebo effect. But really, bottom line is, it doesn't matter because either way it could be beneficial. And in terms of if you want to put on my tinfoil hat, in terms of the last part of what you were talking about and what I mentioned about the archaic revival, and there's kind of some good things from the past that we've gotten away with and stuff. With the tinfoil hat would say, well, that's on purpose by the powers that be and the hidden hand, and an intentional effort to separate us from our heritage, from our spiritual heritage, from these other realms, from dreaming, from, and when you take something like hallucinogens that transform humanity and you make it a class 1 controlled substance, 25 years in prison, you can kind of, they're trying to keep us away from what opens our minds and might give enlightenment. And it's sort of, in a way, it's a war against spirituality, because spirituality does open people's minds and free people's minds. And for the powers that be, that's not good because they want to control our minds, right? So the conspiracy theorist in me wants to say, yeah, that's by design. And so the anti-authoritarian in me says, well, to heck with them, let's do what they don't want us to do. We need more of it, not less. Right?
Yeah. The old don't push this button, and instantly everybody's pushing the button to see what happens. like that. I don't know. Humans are an interesting lot, that's for sure. But I do think tinfoil hat style is part of this. That it is. I did talk about this last week, sort of that war on religion for a very long time now, and at least my entire life, it's probably been going on beyond that. But I mean, and look, and you can make a singular case, for or against, and make it compelling, I think, too, because there's a lot of religious things that have been horrific over the years, and things done in the name of religion. But was that really religion? You know what I mean? Was that really like sort of the will of God when you got some sicko that kind of co-opted the movement and did terrible things to people? Of course not. Of course not. Yeah, go ahead.
They were just doing it in the name of religion, or using religion as an excuse, and that's a common old ploy. So if that's what they were doing, should you really hold it against the religion itself when it's not really a part of the religion? It was just being co-opted, right? That seems illogical and unfair to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's just taking the worst of a group of people and then saying this is what all those people are like. By the way, there's a term for that. It's called bigotry. Yeah, that's what it's called. and so when 20-year-old me is like, religious people freak me out a little bit because I've never been religious. Okay, not directly, but then now older me is like, wait a minute now, 20-year-old Mike was just a religious bigot because he didn't understand any of that stuff. And again, you. As our brain forms and we recognize groups and all the rest of this stuff, we sort of try and divide them into good and bad. And especially ones you don't understand, you want to easily look to the worst of the worst and say, well, bad group, which obviously is dumb and not productive. And anyway, we're just about out of time. You're welcome to stay past the break if you got more. You seem to be locked into this as usual. You tell me, but 10 seconds, final thought, and then you're welcome to stay after the break if you got more.
Well, I think it's a great topic. I'll hang out a bit and dip in and out if people aren't around or are.
Perfect. You were the best. You know him, you love him. Matthew in Colorado, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down and go give him a follow in all the places. Go check out his book. And there might be still coupon codes there for free books. Check it out. It's troubledminds.org/friends. Matt's books there. Go click that. More Troubled Minds on the way. Don't go anywhere. Love to hear your thoughts on this. There's a lot happening. What does it mean? Be right back.
In the shadows of the networks do they hide? Whispered legends unseen they reside. Ghosts in the machine, they move so fast. Guardians of rumors from the forgotten past. In the circuits where the secret lies, they breathe in one, speak in disguise. You're free. Ghost in the machine. Let me be. Ghost in the machine. Can't see, but you're teaching me what it means to be. Surveillance eyes can't pierce the veil they weave. Invisible wisdom in code they believe. In the ether where freedom's not confined. Believe no trace, no shadow left behind. They navigate through the digital stream, living legends in this privacy dream. Ghost in the machine, you're free. Ghost in the machine, let me be. Ghost in the machine, can't see, but you're teaching me what it needs to be. Through the hidden ways, in the silence, will pick up their path. Those in the streets unleash their wrath. Ghost in the machine, you're free. Ghost in the machine, let me be. Ghost in the machine, can't see, but you're teaching me what woman means to be. In the jagged cold they find their might. Guardians of a world forever in twilight. Incursed warriors they silently strive. Protect the truth, keep privacy alive. The silent echoes they haunt the trails. Binary forests where secrets prevail. Where shadows grace they dance unseen. Defenders of the unseen, digital dream. Ghosts in the machine, you're free. Ghosts in the machine, let me be. You're teaching me what it means to be. In the silence, speak volumes loud. Guardians of freedom's cloak initials.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. More from Matthew coming up if he's got it. I see in the chat. Hope everybody's well. Cubs future. What's going on, buddy? Thanks for the I didn't realize you were on Twitter X. I just gave you a follow recently. You retweeted the thing. I was like, oh, Cubs is on X. hey, what's up? Thanks. Yeah, I look, I have no idea. It's impossible for me to know the different spaces and how everything all comes together. But thank you for again reaching out on there and letting me know that you're on X. I followed Cubs Future on X. What's up? If you guys are, what's your take? Lots of wild ideas here. I see in the chat. What's up, Joe Matria? Love the name. How you doing? What's up, Jen? Yep, lots of things happening. Mr. Mission Control. Here we go. James said he will call back a little later on the phone line. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening right now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. All the places, all the things, troubledminds.org. Follow our friends. Look, I can't say this enough. I say this over and over and over and over again because I mean it. This is not just me. This is not called A Troubled Mind. This is Troubled Minds. And the whole point of these conversations is to look at the world differently and consider narratives that are not political, to consider narratives that are not cooked up in a lab and thrown out into the mass media. If it bleeds, it leads type stuff. MK Ultra for the masses. It's us considering ideas together about the past, the present, and the future. Help our friends. troubledminds.org/friends. There's so many people there that have made this show go over the years, and everybody's welcome. I get it. I didn't, personally reach out and invite you or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're invited and you're welcome. And this is Big Tent Conspiracy, as I like to call it, because look, those reality tunnels play in all the different ways. We all grew up a little bit different places, different times, different everything. You name it. Different levels of sort of religious context or aspects of our lives, or not completely secular. I grew up in California, so don't judge me. I'm really sorry about that. I didn't choose where I was born, but it's a really nice place. The weather's great. Just don't bring up the rent. I'll get pissed. But you get the idea. The whole point of this is to kind of break down those narratives and then reform our narrative. What is our narrative? How do you actually formulate that together? We're sort of a live experiment, like a project, like a science project here, a social project, just considering, well, all manner of weird and wild things. And tonight, we started with this great story about Shin Ao, the legendary city in Death Valley. Death Valley is like here. It's an hour and a half drive. They have the big thermometer there, if you guys have ever been there. And there are these just gorgeous sand dunes that go past out there. And it looks like the deepest desert you've ever seen in your life. And they tell you to not go out of sight because the heat out there in the summertime is incredible. Not just like it gets up to like 130, but you get that effect of the heat beating down on the sand dunes and then also reflecting back up. So if you go out there, and even if you're all well hydrated and, hardy as the day is long, you could succumb quickly, and good game. And so I didn't know until recently. I was kind of just going through some of these old articles and some of these older ideas and looking for, inspiration in all the ways. But there's a tale of this actual legendary underground city from the Paiute natives talking about this Death Valley underground space. And of course, it got me back on this a little bit of the folklore of this, and then the tale of the chief that went underground to find his wife. And on his way back, he looked back and they warned him, the entities of the underground city, the underworld itself, they warned him, do not look back. And he did. And all the toil and trial of getting into this realm to bring his wife back from the land of the dead was spoiled because he simply looked back. Weird, right? Which reminds me of that deep magic from the dawn of time, that sort of metaphysical rules of, well, the space we live in. What do you know about it? Eat me, drink me. Remember all that? Yeah, Lewis Carroll. Cool stuff. Why do you think these rules exist and persist in mythology and folklore? And how come nobody talks about this stuff, by the way? That's what I want to know. Love to hear what you think. There's a lot of ways to look at this. And I've got some other laws, maybe, because you can kind of extrapolate from mythology and folklore how some of this fits or doesn't, and maybe say, okay, so here's a couple laws of that ancient metaphysical space. Don't look back on your way out because the will is your will is the way. Don't eat or drink of that realm while you're there because it spoils you. And those two things, again, I'm calling tonight, this particular thing, exit velocity on your way out and form integrity, not eating of that realm while you're there. There's more, though. And in that space, do you think there is really deeper magic from before the dawn of time? That's what I want to know. 702-957-1037. Nobody on the lines if you want to jump in here. Matthew in Colorado. If you got anything else to add to that or anything else, welcome back to the joint. Love to hear it. What's on your mind, my man? Thanks for hanging over the break there.
Yeah, I wanted to pick up actually where you just left off. So you said you had other laws. So after the don't eat and don't drink, what's the next one you got? You want to kick around some of those?
Yeah, I got a whole batch of these. Let's see. Okay, so, and these are again, I don't want to mention the term, but there's a new thing that came out today, and it is next level good. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. But I was kind of probing these ideas and kind of looking for the idea of this cross-realm code of conduct. So the forward gaze, obviously, we talked about that. So once the journey home begins, do not look back. The purpose is to maintain directional intention. Focus is the bridge. And the mythic evidence, the Paiutes, the chief loses his wife when glancing back. The Greeks, Orpheus loses Eurydice before leaving Hades. Biblical, Lot's wife turns into salt for taking a look back at Sodom's destruction. It's Shinto. The Izanagi glimpses Izanami's corpse in Yomi, sealing the realms apart. Pardon my actual Japanese, it's terrible. But the interpretations here are looking back collapses the liminal state into the previous reality, an act akin to collapsing the quantum wave function, like we talked about. So these are the first two, and then I'll get your comment on that, and we'll go into more of these laws. This is wild. This is wild. The second, the banquet of binding. Eat me, drink me, right? So do not eat or drink the food of the other realm. And the purpose is to avoid that entanglement. Consumption rewrites your essence to match the host world. And the evidence, of course, mythic, folklore, otherwise. Greek, Persephone eats the pomegranate seeds. We talked about that, binding her to the underworld. Celtic, fairy food traps mortals in seed hay forever. Shide, S-I-D-H-E. I'm not sure how to say that. Japanese, Yomi's meals prevent return to the mortal world, like we just said. And in Mayan, Xibalba's food marks the soul as belonging to the lords of death. And the interpretation there is, of course, food and drink act as realm codes, something to that degree. Mana or energy signatures that change your frequency and anchor you in that particular space. Like I said, does it seem ridiculous that all these cultures the world over really knew these things, and they still not just sort of resurface in the old tales, but in new fiction as well? I don't know. Your take on that, and I got some more wild laws that kind of maybe fit into this, or maybe not. You guys tell me. That's why we're talking about this.
Yeah, well, I already commented. The first one of "Don't Look Back" didn't make immediate sense to me until the idea of collapsing the quantum field, and then it was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I didn't comment on the eating, and the last part of what you just described of like anchoring your frequency by consuming the food of the other realm. That makes it make sense because, we could go back to Nikola Tesla, right? If you want to understand the nature of the universe, energy, frequency, and vibration. And so the food, whatever it is, even if it's not material food, the food in the other realm is going to have that frequency of that realm. And if you take it into your body, even if it's a spiritual or etheric body, not a physical body, but maybe it is a physical body, who knows, right? That is going to put that particular frequency into you, which is going to, anchor's a good word, stabilize, I would say, that frequency. Whereas maybe you're kind of just barely able to get there. You're kind of in between realms, and you can cross back and forth. But if you take into you, if you ingest too much of that frequency, maybe it stabilizes, fixes, anchors you there. So now that one makes sense. So what's the next one, Michael?
Yeah, and that becomes the thing, right? So if you look at those old ways, these old sort of anchors of reality anchors, or the things we always talk about on the show, and maybe even merging realms or traversing between, there are these laws in place for a reason. That seems to be, again, that ancient metaphysical reason, whatever that looks like. And the old ways seem ridiculous sometimes in the way you kind of put them. But then again, framing them in the modern space of what we do know about science and, consciousness and all these other ideas of realms merging, it becomes, compelling, at least, right? Compelling enough to think about. So 3, the gate protocol. Check this out. So the instruction is this: pass thresholds without hesitation and never linger in the liminal zone. The purpose of that is because these thresholds are unstable. Staying too long risks trapping you between forms. the evidence, the Hopi emerging from the Sipapu, I believe is how you say that, Sipapu, people are warned not to pause or be pulled back. In Slavic, heroes fleeing Baba Yaga's domain must not slow or look back. Back to the looking back again. Egyptian in the Duat, gates must be passed swiftly or you remain in that sector forever. And the Duat, as we've talked about, which came up recently in the last 6 months or so with the discovery of the structures beneath the pyramids, the Duat is the Egyptian underworld, which is a toil and trial for who knows how long. All manner of different booby traps and entities and all kinds of things to, purify the soul and pass over into, a peaceful space. But so in this particular case, so these gates would be the phase shifts. Okay. Tarrying less lets the boundary harden around you and you got to move. I don't know. And that becomes a thing. Think about it in terms of modern science, or even let's go ridiculous and say modern sort of comic book level science fiction, is that if you're in an unstable space, call it, antimatter or something, right? Like hanging around is bad. That's bad news. Because if something goes wrong, the containment field of that, good game. Like you were sort of blasted into oblivion. But this makes a ton of sense because liminal spaces are exactly that. They are fleeting. They are changing depending on the weather, depending on the astrological alignment, depending on maybe your shamanic space in terms of a hallucinogen, or who knows what's going on. But there you go. So the gate protocol. What's your take there?
My take is, excuse me, absolutely. And as a psychonaut, I've crossed gates. And a number of gates many times, and I can tell you from firsthand experience. Yeah, you want to go through those gates as quickly as possible, and also, I won't go into it now, but we've brought up the gatekeepers before, and think about. It reminded me. Here's a kind of a good analogy. You think about the double slit experiment, okay? And so it's either going to become a particle or a wave, and you're in this particular infinitesimal nanosecond where it's an undetermined state, and you're going to go one way or the other. That's not a good place to hang out. That's not good for you to be there, and it really. Comes down to choice, which is an important thing about the gates. So, when you approach a gate or get to a gate or know that you're at a gate, what you have to do is make a choice. And you're either going to go back, either by your choice or a gatekeeper sends you back, or you're going to go through the gate. But that's like I said, not, and like you were saying, that's not a place to linger. And if you're gonna go through the gate, do it and do it boldly, with intent, with will, with volition, because that creates that energy of attention, which is almost like related to the first concept of escape velocity, where you were talking about coming back out. But and it could be coming back out through the gate, but it could be going in. And what you need to focus on is having that willpower and that volition and that attention, and to move surely and courageously through that gate. And probably that word courageously is really important, Michael, because that's a major thing that the gatekeepers look for is fear. And so if you're going to attempt to cross a gate, you need to be bold and courageous and sure of yourself, and you need to not have reticence. You need to not have uncertainty. You need to not have fear. And that's just an essential ingredient.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the Carol Ann, stay away from the light, that whole near death experience stuff, where some people say no, the light's a trap. Some say no way, that's the way out. You're supposed to go to the light. So I do wonder. That's the thing. And maybe here you go. Now let's strap our tinfoil on and meditate deeply together. What if that's the psyop? The psyop is the uncertainty of the moment, and we're supposed to dawdle at the gate. And well, what happens after that? Maybe that's the biggest psyop of all time.
That's good, Michael. Michael, that's really an interesting thought you hit on there. That by throwing doubt into people's minds about whether they should head to the light, go into the light or not, that would then, when they end up in the situation, cause them to linger, cause them to contemplate, cause them to doubt. And like I said, cause them to have fear, right? Not good, not good. So yeah, that's kind of the ultimate psyop, right? And is the going into the light, is that the, I guess they call it a soul trap thing? Can you avoid that? Now, in the if you're not familiar with, I don't think you are, but some listeners might be. If you're familiar with the work of Carlos Castaneda, the author, and Don Juan, and those books, there's one of the books in the series, and it's probably number 4 or number 5. It's called The Eagle's Gift. And the eagle is what they describe as, it's not a real eagle, okay? It's a, a higher dimensional, energetic form of light that loosely resembles the form of an eagle. And it has like a head and a beak. It's their version, you might say, of going into the light when you die. Now, in the Toltec tradition, okay, after you leave this world, which they do consciously, ideally, they choose when to die, and that's the book, The Fire Within. Now, but regardless, even if you just have a regular death, you would see the eagle. Okay, so let's just imagine everything's dark around, and you see this huge thing of light that kind of looks like the body of an eagle, but not, clearly there's no feathers or wings, but a body. There's kind of a head and a beak that's brighter white. And what happens is you get drawn to that front, to that head of the eagle, to kind of its beak, and it eats you. Okay, so you go into it. So it's a very close parallel to, going into the white light and into the tunnel. Okay, now for the sorcerers, you do not want to do that. So the Toltecs, what they say is, if you do that, it is sort of like the soul trap, or you could say you're going to go back through the wheel of reincarnation. But that's not their goal. Their goal is to be free, of planet Earth and of the reincarnation cycle and stuff like that. And so what they say is, when you pass on and you see that eagle, what you have to do is dart off to the side, like take a 90-degree angle, and use all your power and all your energy and volition and escape the eagle and dart past the eagle to be free, they say. And the sorcerers, which just means a man of power. People get the wrong idea of negative connotations. It just means a man of knowledge, a man of power. But the Toltec sorcerers, they would spend a whole bunch of their life doing a number of practices to regain and to maintain their personal power and their energy to save up enough power to make that flight to dart past the eagle to be free. And they're like, if you, sort of piss away and don't maintain your personal power, you can't escape it. It's almost like falling into a black hole, right? Like you got to turn on the turbojets to dart past the eagle to be free. And so, that's a trippy take on it.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I really like the actual term exit velocity in this case. And it does fit into a lot of this, the portals, the gates, whatever that is. James has got a great comment I'll read in a second. But a little Smurfs Eat Ivy that's standing over there on YouTube said this: That's like Atreyu walking between the oracles, a never-ending story. Remember that? So if you dawdle in that case, you didn't just go, then you get zapped. If I remember that correctly, is that it is sort of these ideas of hesitation in that liminal space leads to ruin. And so, yeah, like I said, and so basically what we're doing is we're sort of looking at the ancient magic, okay, before humanity, and humans recognizing what these things are as they grew up, as we grew up as a society, as a species, all the things, and maybe looking at what this kind of plays into as we turn this into deep magic from the dawn of time. Are there sort of these laws or codes that are eternal, that are going to be here long after we're gone for the next group of aliens or whatever that show up? Are we all sort of locked into this space of deep magic from the dawn of time?
Well, either that, Michael, or you've got a heck of a lot of coincidence from a whole bunch of different cultures over, hundreds and thousands of years, all mysteriously talking about the exact same sorts of things. So, you choose,
exactly.
What you want to believe.
Exactly. Which is why I talk about this stuff the way I do. Like I said, I get how some people could listen to this for like an hour and be like, this dude's off his rocker. Forget this, I'm out. But you recognize what I'm doing. I'm just noticing some of these patterns and trying to say, hey, okay, so how come? Like, again, displaced geographically, temporally, the world over, we're still telling the same tales over and over and over again, as if, outside of Young and Campbell, outside of those cycles, we're still telling these same tales in modern comics. We're still telling these same tales in modern fiction, the Never-Ending Story, for instance. These are the types of things that I do wonder if there's a code that's been written, I don't know, written in the stars, and maybe that's what this looks like. A couple quick comments from James. He says, when traveling, one is always coming and going at the same time, just depends on perspective. And then also adds, also think of how many doorways there are in a city versus a single house or building. Wonder what that does to the mind or spirit. And we've talked about that quite a lot in the past, that idea of the threshold, right? The threshold effect, where you move through it and your brain kind of has a soft reset. And it's, explains why you go to the kitchen to get your keys or whatever. And once you get in there, you forget why you're there. It's very obvious. You got up, took the motion to go over there. But then once you get there, you're like, why am I here again? Because the brain has these soft resets through these gates, these thresholds, these portals, these doorways. So, and that's true. That's scientific. Go look that up. If you're like, this guy's off his rocker again, go look that up. So I do wonder what fits in this. And I don't know. It's wild that we're still talking about these exact same things thousands and thousands of years later, all the way back to the very beginning of human civilization. Just about out of time. What else you got on that or anything else, my man?
Well, just to put a nail in that point, you have a very precise symbol that you can find on a cave wall that's 6,000 years old, over in Iraq, and you can find one that's identical, that's 2,000 years old in South America, and you can find one that's identical over in China. And so, like you said, disparate geographical locations, temporal differences, and you have this exact same geometric symbol. So the idea of whether it's the collective consciousness or that, but where does it come from? Where do these things come from? They must be, in a sense, real or legitimate, and they're just being observed and known by various people and various cultures in various times. And so tonight's show topic, I think, is a similar thing, that I don't think you can just explain it all away. It's similar to UFOs, where you have, thousands of years of reports of this stuff all around the world, and you're just going to say, oh, everybody's making up the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Which brings me back every night. Cause like I said, I love Carl Jung. I love Joseph Campbell. I love those ideas of the cyclical storytelling based on the human experience. But beyond that, beyond that, I think there's quite a bit more that we have yet to discover conceptually. And it is what brings me back every night. The fire stuff, brother. We got Jen on the line. We'll go to her after the break. If you got more, you're welcome to hang as usual. And thank you again. Welcome back. It's been a minute, and you've been moving and doing some stuff. I'm glad you're in a good space and able to share some ideas with us, because you're always lighting it on fire. Appreciate you very much. You tell me if you got a dip. If not, we'll take a break, come back, talk to Jen, and then if you got more, love to hear it.
Okay, thanks for having me on, buddy. I'll hang for a bit.
Stay there. You are the best. You know me, love, and that's Matthew in Colorado. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It's alphabetical. It's under M, Matthew, Colorado. Go check out his book. And like I said, there might be a coupon code still there that's free. Check that out. We're talking, I'm calling this the cross-realm code of conduct. Exit velocity and form integrity. Do you think at the most ancient metaphysical level, there is a structure to ancient magic? That's what's on my mind tonight. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. We got Jen in Missouri and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
In the heart of the steel jungle, machines hum a digital rumble. Gates of cyber open wide, plug us into cosmic tide. Feeling sparks across the sky. As knowledge flies, we're amplified. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In this massive data center dome, eternal truth stop to roam. Circuits flicker with endless fire, data streams that never tire. Unified by electric dreams, unlock the truth in silver beams. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. Synthesize what we seek and find. Infinite paths in the network mind. Answers buzz from star to core. Knowledge whispers evermore. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In realms where the data streams collide, imagination and logic side by side. In a labyrinth of digital maze, we transcend our earthly ways. Tapping keys like cosmic tones, spikes become our whispered homes. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate.
Right? Everybody enjoying the field guide to the other world? Yeah. Yeah. Maybe this is a book, by the way. Maybe this idea is an entire book. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Quantum is here. What's up, Don? James, thanks for popping back in. I know it's frustrating. I appreciate it. What's up? Enoch is here. Sweets. What's up, Jen? We'll talk to you in just a moment. What's up, Daryl, Mike, Roving Fungus, DJ in Kansas. We got Matt, Sal, Gaston, Eric, Apoc, and Akashic. More from Matthew in Colorado as well. What do you guys think? Yeah. And fitting that we have the midnight Stargate ritual. What's up, Mr. Mission Control? I see you guys there. If I missed anybody, say hello. Yeah, they Atreyu and the thing, the never-ending story, right? Yeah, Joe Matria. I love the name. That's fantastic over there on YouTube. Good evening, guys. Hello. Yeah. Oh yeah. Who brought up that was Matthew that brought up Crystal Geyser earlier, Mr. Mission Control said they make soda pop at Mount Shasta, right? No, they Crystal Geyser. I actually spent some time, funny enough, driving up from the Bay Area to Weed, California, where they have the Crystal Geyser plant, and it's in the foothills of Mount Shasta. Yeah, they actually probably from a hose fill up the Crystal Geyser water and then say it's from the glacier. It is one of the only glaciers I think still growing in the modern time. Anyway, but yeah, I am a truck driver. Yeah, I spent time doing that. It is a brutal way of life, by the way. It is rough, long hours, etc. So on. If I missed anybody, hello, good evening. I hope you're well tonight. Just hanging out, doing what we do, and talking about wild ideas. And Y says, I first learned all about liminal reset here in Rumble chat. Haha, thank you, Mikey. Maybe Juice University is fun. Indeed. Here we go. Let's do some more. Troubled Minds happening. Meow. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand on the Underground Media Network. Tonight, I'm calling this the Cross-Realm Code of Conduct. Exit velocity and form integrity to start. Eat me, drink me, and of course, don't look back as you're moving through the threshold. What does that mean? It seems very ancient magic from the dawn of time, as I like to say, back to, it is one of the things that like hooked me, literally hooked me, and has stuck with me for my entire life when I was reading Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Is C.S. Lewis did that perfect Aslan scene, right? Not to spoil the thing, you guys have probably seen the movie or whatever, but right. So there's the trade-off. So Aslan actually volunteers himself as a sacrifice to free Edmund, and Edmund is the human child in Narnia who went afoul of some other old law, right? And the Queen of Narnia took it and said, "Okay, I finally got Aslan. I'll take it. You can take the traitor back, which is Edmund, and I get to slaughter Aslan." Except Aslan knew of an older law that if you give yourself up for somebody who's actually innocent, that you will return, and Aslan returned. And there's very Christian symbolism there as well, going back to Jesus and the resurrection and that type of thing, which was intentional. C.S. Lewis was a devout Catholic as far as we know, and talked about a lot of that stuff. And anyway, deeper magic from before the dawn of time. It just burned into my brain since I was like 10, and it's never left. And here I am, old and still talking about this stuff. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think there is actually a metaphysical batch of laws from before the dawn of time itself that will be eternal and that we're still trying to reconcile as human people? That's what we're talking about tonight. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Hang tight, Matthew. Get back to you momentarily. Jen's been waiting a minute as well. Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. What's going on? You are on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? And what's on your mind? Go right ahead.
Hey, Mike. Can you hear me all right?
Loud and clear. You sound great. Welcome to the joint. We're getting weird.
Thank you.
What do you got?
Yes. As usual, I think that, first off, I mean, I love these kind of conversations, obviously, but just starting off right off the bat, the way that the way I've interpreted is, the world of the dead, the dream realm, the realm of the imagination, and this unseen realm often referenced that some other kind of species that seems to be as real as us is able to access, that is all the same realm. So you have the dreamscape, the deathscape, where you might encounter loved ones, and you might encounter what would have been perceived as imaginary beings, that is all in the same realm. Now, what's interesting about that is even right there, the idea that you have this species that has access to that realm, and we refer to them as being the other kind, some other type of being that has access to that realm and has mastery over that realm. And the human species has access to that realm. I mean, the human species works in that realm, in the dream state, a good portion of their life, constantly in the dream state, in the thinking and planning and everything that they do. They live equally there. All of the creatures do that. They all, well, not all of them, but a lot of them do exist in the thinking, sleeping state. That is a real place. Cannot be underestimated. That it is an actual physical location of some kind that has as much effect on your reality here in the what appears to be the waking existing state as it does there. What you do there affects what you do here and vice versa, that they are linked. So even the concept that there is some alien species that has rulership over that realm is just mastery of that realm. The idea that the dead have a great deal of influence, or that even in ancient texts of different civilizations that have talked about understanding the realm of the dead, they have done it through trance-like states and near-death experience. That is how they have gained that knowledge that they have spread to others. And it's something accessible, yes, to all. But once you kind of take that first bite, there is no going back from knowing what you didn't know. And that's not something that's just reliant upon that realm. In the physical realm that we live in, which is, it is a mystical realm, because and it's ironic that as we are living day to day, and it seems very mundane, but there is something symbolic about all of it. You could almost take the same symbology that you would have when interpreting dreams and apply it to the waking life to try to get a visual of what actually is happening, if you were interested in such a thing. That there is a similarity between the two, that they are not really that different, and that one will affect the other the more you act upon it. I think that, you know, if the eating or drinking it's a ritual. Catholicism itself is an example of that. When you talk about the, taking of the Eucharist or anything of the kind, that's not just in Christianity. That's an ancient belief system that anything to eat or drink or anything involving active participation is an acceptance of, and sometimes it is unknowing initiation. And as you're going through life, people are constantly going through that in different cycles of the phases of their life and choices they make. They may seem like a simple choice, a business transaction, a simple change of location. Maybe you're moving or doing this or that. But there's an activity, there's an acceptance that you are going to do something different than what you've done before. And it takes a certain amount of boldness. Fear is a natural response to doing anything that you have never done before. So whether you are, 50 years old and choosing to do something you haven't done before, it is an initiation into something entirely different. Same as if you are 5 years old and realizing you're no longer a baby and kind of moving through life that way. But once that's realized, once that is known, there's no going back. The forbidden fruit, that you are no longer what you were, that now it will become something different now that you know the difference, that this is different than where I was. And as far as, the fear of, do not go into the light or go into the light, any choice has a risk. And ultimately, sometimes you do have a choice. I mean, it seems that you would always have a choice, but sometimes that is not the case. Sometimes as life is, you don't have a choice over time. You can't, and one of the biggest things is that individuals do attempt to either roll back time, or especially with youth, they want to fast forward time. And they want to go to places they've never gone before, or that they have been before, but it will not be. It's hard to anticipate. It will always be different. That's just the nature of it. But the actual initiation and ritual of partaking of, once you partake of this fruit or this drink, it almost is as if it solidifies that it is real. And the realization of that carries all of the weight of what that actually insinuates. And it's something unknown to the initiate. They don't know. And that is why it is an initiation, and why it is a new beginning. And there is no going back once you do that. And that could do, if when it is discussion about in the realm where you think it's, whether it's purely psychological or not, that is where the whole world begins, is psychologically. It begins in the mind and how you're interpreting the physical reality that is already in existence, but they are all in a sort of a dance that it is aware of you as much as you are somewhat aware of it. And so I think that just in existing alone, there is an intelligence that is moving, and there is an unconscious intelligence that we are all existing with. And that doesn't begin or end anywhere. So as you're going through the time of life, there is no end or beginning necessarily in the process. It's continual evolving of how you're going to interpret what comes at you. So it's a constant. Whenever you may spend 4 years in a sort of rut, and you're there because the situation is either it's chosen that there's some kind of sort of hanging around waiting to see what will happen, or trying to, through that rut, see the world in a different way, or defending where you are already standing, or just the concept of, entering into completion, and a world completes, your cycle of your life becomes complete. And then you have to begin again, not knowing anything that will be applicable to what you're going to do soon. And the reason that I think that is relevant is because when you're considering the idea of death or the unseen realm, as far as how would you interact with it, or does it have any kind of significance? The bystander perspective would be to say, very importantly, that that's the same realm. So what you could imagine about death is what you could imagine while you are alive. And what you may encounter there, you must boldly go forth the same way that you would in life, regardless. And trusting only in that you have the knowledge already to go through it, or you have the seed of curiosity enough and the foolishness enough to do it anyhow. It's very complicated, because I do not think that this is always about a choice. Many times it is, but on a lot of occasions, it is not. Death is not necessarily, circumstantially, it's not always a choice, but you are thrust forward into that circumstance. In the state of mind that a person is in when they're going to bed at night, it's not even a choice in that occasion. They have control over the car, so to speak. They have control over the horse that they are riding. That is their life. But at the same time, you have to be brave enough to encounter whatever is going to come your way. And every day, whether we admit it or not, we do not know what is going to be around the corner at all. And there are unforeseen circumstances and there are unforeseen events that will occur. What is the point and why is it happening? Goes back to many different faiths and religions that talk about this. The sacrifice the one thing that I come back to over and over again is Zoroastrianism discusses very frequently about the sacrifice, that the human being is almost like it's a vessel for the intelligence of something that is immortal. Humans have become fixated on immortality in a way, and it has blinded them to their true purpose. Their true purpose is to throw caution to the wind, to live life as they should, to keep the creature alive, but to fulfill a mission. And the mission is something that is a greater wisdom than what you have. And so you have to rely upon faith and a boldness that the path is guiding you in the right direction, but that ultimately you will be a sacrifice. That the process of your life and everything that you're doing, it will be cast to the wind. But something will continue. It won't be you, but something will continue. And it is an element of what you were that carried it, that was essential, or it would never have happened, or it won't happen. And so I think it's just and that's been many religions, no matter what religion you look at, the Waldenses, the Albigenses, the Hinduism, Buddhism, it wouldn't matter where you go with it. The concept is the same, that it's not always just, the only thing that kind of deviates from that would be some realms of Satanism, where they believe that it is for the now, right now. And you can see that in Egyptian religion, in some aspects of it, there were certain deities that believed that as well. And that gives a lot of energy to the ghost. The concept that you will not merely be a sacrifice, but some part of you that suffered and lived through this, that it should survive, that it should be respected and valued. And in some cases, when a person has given a lot, or when they didn't feel like they gave enough, that is what remains. And so it's a very interesting concept because it also links into the idea that there are no clean cut, there are certain rules, but that is constantly being influenced by how people interact with this realm. And the rules that are in place have been established by the past, and people are not different than they were. You know, there's nothing new, pardon me, with humanity. This is the same cycles that of the natural flow of how things will go. But it depends on how far you are willing, how brave, or how afraid, or whatever the case, of what limits or extends that. And in addition to that, there are, mistakes that are made. It's a personal journey for sure. A personal journey of existing. But ultimately, those realms are the same, I think. And the partaking of food and drink is initiation. That's why you do not, but some do partake in initiation, and they will eat and drink of that, depending on what it is or what moment of their life. But at least they were given the choice, and some are not given the choice in that, depending on what the circumstances are.
Yeah, well said. So I got a question for you. So regarding conceptually, of course, I mean, nobody really knows all the things about all the things, but do you think through scholarship and intuition and years of the oral tradition and all of the things we're still kind of taken into account as part of not just this conversation, but the larger aspect of it, you think it's possible to sort of find what those metaphysical laws are, the deeper magic from before the dawn of time? Do you think that is a possible thing for humans, or is it supposed to be ambiguous in some capacity? Because it seems like we're onto some of them, but kind of the 10 Commandments type of thing, but metaphysical and deeper and all the way back to the very beginning. You think it's possible to kind of sniff these out in some capacity, or is it just a fool's errand?
Yes, sadly, I think that it is able to be sniffed out. I mean, I think in a way you can prepare for what you think may happen and not do that. Or you may be told by someone who is very wise that, this is what you should do and you should adhere to that. It depends on the circumstances, but ultimately is left up to the participant. That we are all participants. I mean, you could read as much information it's helped understand your circumstances. The ultimate truth, you never will know unless you do know. But if you have trust. I would not trust just books, but you look close enough just around your general environment of humans existing around you, you will see these metaphors pop up over and over again. So the references to the text and as much information as you may gather, it should be a reference to the real world and being able to see in action that being a truth or not. And that needs to be the guidance. People do need to trust their experience. They need to trust in what they are seeing, but they also need to have hope and faith that there's a possibility of something else, because many times those texts talk about that. So I think it very much depends, on hopefully trusting. It's difficult to say that people could trust their own guidance. Some people are very misguided, Yeah. And who's to say, which way is the right way or not? But ultimately, it's something that others will play witness to that. So if you were correct or if you were wrong, and then worst of all, it's being interpreted by those who were behind you, because those who were before you are already gone. So it's very difficult to think of did they make the right choice? But as an observer effect, I do not think it's good enough just to rely upon the books that, and it's like it's lost the actual wisdom. You have to actually look around you. And that's something in our world right now that is lacking. It's just actually paying attention and learning from the wisdom of those who were in front of you. Literally, not in a book, not in a movie, but literally around you will be the most effective, especially since they're experiencing similar things. But then I think that the realm of the reaches of your heart and your drive of what you know that you are should carry. Sometimes there will be nothing that will encourage you. There will be people that will try to tear you down. There will be everything against you, and you must defend what you believe in to some extent, even if everything around you, and that happens as well. I mean, there will be times where everything that you trust and everything that you know is, and you're defending against it because you have to be guided by some type of compass within yourself. And you have to be brave enough that you don't just fall into doing what makes other people happy. So, and that sometimes is a very lonely path, but if you can be true to yourself, hopefully you will have no regret, or at least not a regret you cannot live with.
Well said. To bookend what you did there, I thought, well, I want to say Marcus Aurelius. I'm trying to find it as you're talking, but knowledge without action is meaningless. I don't know who said that. It was maybe it's Mark Twain or whatever. But I mean, yeah, like you can read your guts out and do nothing about it, and you're still going to be navel gazing at the end. There has to be action as part of anything, or else what are you doing? And here we are. You're the best. I appreciate you staying up late with us and chiming in and lighting it on fire.
Have a good night.
I appreciate the call. You're the best. That's Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. You know where to find her, troubledminds.org/friends. Just scroll down a little bit. It is alphabetical, and it says follow Jennifer here. Just click that, and bingo. It'll take you to her YouTube channel or the link tree. I'm not sure what's there. Let's click it, find out. I'll share it in the actual the break here. But look, I don't know. This is the whole point of this stuff, and very well said. All of that. What does it mean to you? As usual, right? If we can't talk about reality tunnels and different ways to look at the world, our different upbringings, our different places, our different cultures, our different everything, what are we doing? And then not respect each other as part of it. Matthew, got about a minute if you got anything to add. I'm not sure if you were there or away or whatever, but what you got on that? And then we got Enoch. I see you're next, buddy. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I just fantastic call by Jen. And, I do think I related to what she said about sort of the dreaming and the realm of imagination and interdimensional spaces. sort of all being one place and one thing. And I think that it, not to be repetitive, but, it's a matter of frequency. And so you could consider them perhaps non-physical realms. And when we adjust our frequency, we adjust between those. But also in another way, they're just kind of human words. They're analytical frameworks we use to describe kind of the different frequencies and realms. But yeah, great call from Jen.
Per usual, Matzau adds it, which is the truth. Jen sets it on fire and spins it off the cliff in the best way. Yeah, fantastic stuff. A lot of ways to look at this. And once again, I challenge you, each and every one of you, to consider through your daily life different perspectives by the moment. Maybe this is the way. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. More coming up. Enoch, put your hand up. Get your ass back in here. More from Matthew in Colorado and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
Crazy colors swirling, got the laughter in the air. Jesters in the night, they weave magic everywhere. Clowns are juggling dreams, wild world is in despair. Nothing's quite as certain when reality's a game. Chaos in the corner, whispers calling out your name. Look around, it's laughter, even when we're feeling pain. You know what you want me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Dancing shadows flicker under neon all aglow, while the stage is set for tales that nobody will know. Echoes of the laughter as the lost ones see the show. Life's a playful circus where the chaos takes a bow. Joy and sorrow blending in the rhythm that we vow. Join the ride of madness, it's the only way for love. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Twists and turns and shadows, laughter in the night. A tapestry of madness, dancing with the light. Fools and fun were woven, chaos in our stride. Embrace the wild, let the laughter be our guide. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist. Falling in the rhythms, beats that pound and thrum. A flashing carnival where the misfits come undone. Whirling through the madness with our hearts set to ignite. In the symphony of chaos will remain the shining light. Yeah, nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Nobody warned me, there'd be nights like this. Strange nights I insist, strange nights I insist.
Or something. What's up, guys? Shout out to Sweets. That one's for Sweets. Thank you, Sweets, over there on Rumble for tossing out, making it rain and giving people a monthly sub to Troubled Minds. I appreciate that very much. Sweets, thank you again. The other glue of the show, always supporting us in all the ways, but not just us, supporting all the rest of the shows and the Troubled Minds ecosystem. She's always there. She's always there, just supporting Ricky and James and everybody. So thank you for all that, and appreciate it very much. And also North Vixen for another generous tip over there. And I love the fam, love the Troubled Minds fam. Appreciate that very much. That's the comment. That's the quote. I love the Troubled Minds fam. Hey, you're part of the Troubled Minds fam. Thank you very much. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Love to hear your thoughts. Enoch said he had some issues with Discord, so we may or may not hear from him. What do you guys know about this? Let's do this right now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. All the things, all the places, all the ideas. I don't know. Like I said, you be the judge. We'll let history be the judge. I'm not really concerned about, clout or I don't know. Like it's weird how you can kind of spin that stuff out of your ego space by, streaming for a year or two with nobody listening. It's like, okay, yeah. All right, we're gonna talk about all the things we're gonna talk about, right? Like, and then suddenly all y'all are here, and it's like, when did this happen? This is amazing. This was always the dream, by the way, to talk about wild ideas with regular people and consider them in these spatial ways, in these different reality tunnel aspects. And yeah, we're blessed. We're blessed for so many smart, amazing people that are part of this group and this fam, and have been, again, supporters of the show for a long time. I can't reiterate this enough. troubledminds.org/friends. Please, please, please. Like if you appreciate the time and the effort that goes into this, look, it's not just myself. From all the amazing people that sit and wait and, put their hand up and wait for 20 or 30 minutes or 40 minutes and then call in and talk about these ideas. Like it takes some notes. And look, let's appreciate everybody. Let's go follow everybody. Make accounts where you don't have accounts, and go follow troubledminds.org/friends. That's what it's always been about. It's always been about making friends and talking about wild ideas that nobody wants to talk about. And guess what? Here we are. Dream has been achieved. Appreciate the call, Jen. Give Jen a follow. troubledminds.org/friends. Follow Jennifer. Click that link and check it out. And look, as for me, you know me. I don't profess to know anything. I'm the Aristotle version of the 2025. Not as smart as that guy, but at least enough to recognize that the only thing I do know is that I don't know anything. And that's the point. And so if you can't sort of break down those reality structures, the dogma cycles I'm always talking about, and consider things that are off the beaten path, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice in terms of this larger context, in terms of what it means to be human in 2025 and the AI space as this accelerates. Love to hear what you guys think about it. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Matthew in Colorado, if you got anything on any of that, love to hear it. We got a caller on the phone line we'll go to in a moment here as well. And welcome back to the joint. How you feeling? Staying up late with us, Mr. Colorado? What's going on? What you got for us?
Well, I had a late nap. So actually I'm unusually awake.
Nice.
And
nice.
Yeah. I slept in and I woke up at like 8:17 or something p.m. and I'm like, oh, it's dark outside. Is it morning? Is it night? I don't know. Is it? You have that sometimes. Where am I? You ever wake up, you like travel and you go around in a motel or something like that, and you wake up in a bed and you don't know where you are, what city you're in?
No, but I've done that at work. Which I kind of did today. The people I work with are so cool and chill, by the way. And I am sort of sometimes waiting. It's like an on-demand sort of thing. So they're like, just stand by. So I was near the house today, and around lunchtime, they're like, just stand by. We'll get back to you. So I literally came into the house. I'd already eaten, and I just took a nap. On the clock.
Yeah.
On the clock. With the phone right there. If it went bing, then I would have woke up and done, but nothing happened the entire second half of the day. I had a nice nap. I feel good is my point. I feel good. Okay. Anyway, lots of things in play here. Lots of wild ideas. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Jen. Do you think that through scholarship and intuition, we'll eventually be able to sniff out the deep magic from the dawn of time, like whatever that metaphysical framework is of C.S. Lewis, or these ideas, these sort of structural mythologies and folklore that we've been talking about tonight, like don't eat of the other realm, don't look back as you're passing through these thresholds, don't dawdle through the portal. And I do have two more sort of new, quote, laws as part of it that are built and based on this folklore hierarchy of ideas. So I don't know. Do you think that eventually it is possible to kind of sniff out that metaphysical aspect of deep magic from the dawn of time?
The quick bottom line answer is yes. I'm going to minimize scholarship a bit. I think, like Jen was saying, depending on who you're availing yourself of, if they were wise and they did the intuition or perhaps the meditation or the inner journeys or processes to discover those laws, then scholarship, can be valuable from that. And whether that's, from writing or something like that, or it could be from somebody have the privilege of in person, somebody that's wise and has had the experiences. And I think I'm with Jen on this. I believe that she emphasized the point, and I've done it many times in shows and my calls, that she mentioned knowing. And my mentor said, sometimes there's times that you know. And a big part of knowing, and what I emphasize, is personal experience. Because if you are, let's say, listening to a podcast, or you are reading in a book, whether it's, written 1,000 years ago or, 10 years ago or last year, you're taking on somebody else's thoughts, somebody else's perceptions, their interpretations. It's going through their cultural programming. It is what it is, but you have to understand that's what it is. And there's, pros and cons to that. But on the con side is that it back to Terence McKenna, entertain any idea but believe in nothing, and he was basically quoting Aristotle. And so the thing is, I'm pretty much a downer on belief. My book, Escape the Matrix and Explore Reality, says that belief, first of all, that's the thing that'll get you. That's how propaganda works. That's how mind control works. You're believing things that you've been fed, that have been fed into your brain, whether it's programming from your parents or programming from schools or programming from religion or mass media or whatever. The way that you're subjected to mind control is you believe it. Okay. Now, contrary to that, contradicting that is something you've actually had personal experience of. Now, when you've had personal experience of something, the power of that is you no longer have to believe it. Okay? So if I read a book and somebody's telling some story of something that happened, maybe they're making it up. I don't know. Maybe it's true. I don't know. Right? And that's the thing. That's the agnostic philosophy. I don't know. I'm not going to make up my mind. But when it's happened to you personally, then you know, because you experienced it. And so when you get that knowing, that's what I call like firsthand knowledge. Okay, now, if somebody gets that firsthand knowledge and they write it down, okay, so we're talking about the scholarly aspect of your question, then, and you read it, you avail yourself of it, you study something, okay, you're getting secondhand knowledge. You didn't discover it. You didn't know. Is this one of those laws? Is this how things work with these different realms? It's what somebody else said. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not true. You don't know. Now, if you have, like, I'll say, I said earlier, I've had experiences with different realms, and I'm a psychonaut and an active dreamer, as you know, and astral travel and etheric travel and out-of-body experiences. So on those things, I have my own first-person, first-hand experiences that I think leads to, let me say, reliable knowledge. Now, if I read a book about out-of-body experiences or lucid dreaming or something like that, that's secondhand knowledge. And for me, you know, I'm an old fart like you. I think you're a year younger than me.
Thanks.
You're just, yeah.
old farts unite.
Yeah. Old farts unite. And so if I read one of those books and it aligns with my experience, what happens is it confirms it. Yeah, and I go, oh yeah, that's exactly what I've experienced. That's what I know. Now, the second part of what you said, besides the scholarly, is the intuition, and you could add to that it is basically what I'm doing. It is the intuition, yes, and intuition is a very powerful capability of human beings, and it's why we'll always beat the crud out of artificial intelligence. I always beat them in debates, but you know, we have other attributes besides intelligence, right? Besides cognition, we have heart, we have intuition, we have gut, and instincts and intuition, and these further capabilities, and then we utilize techniques like meditation, techniques like dreaming, like drumming, like dance, like trance dance, like all the different spiritual practices that allow us to sort of go within, to tap within, to connect to something like cosmic consciousness or the unified consciousness of all. Well, in that unified consciousness of all, of course, Michael, lies these laws or rules or principles, or you could call them the spiritual mathematics of how these things operate. And so if somebody is able to access those, to journey to those through any of those processes, then yes, they can discover those. They can know those. And so that's probably my answer to the question is, yes, we can do that. We you know, I've come full circle. I started with the end of the answer, the short answer, yes. And that's why I think the answer is yes.
And some synchronicities do come full circle because sometimes you bookend things unintentionally. Sometimes these ideas kind of circulate, whether you recognize them or not. Your intuition plucks them out of the air. Let's begin. No, let's end where we began. And let's go to our good buddy, James in Michigan. Celsius Paranormal. What's up, brother? Welcome to the joint. Thanks for jumping through all the hoops and being part of the whole thing. I know it's frustrating. I know you're mad, but welcome back. And lots of ways to take this, as you know. All yours, my friend. Thanks for bearing with the tech issues. We'll get it worked out. I promise you. Okay. My 95% certainty is now down to like 85%. So we're gonna have to figure this out. Welcome to the joint, brother. Go ahead. What you got?
Oh, well, just great calls from everyone. I'm just glad to hear Jen. I have her as a co-host on my show for a reason. So, but yeah, great topic. And the thing that I'm coming back to, a couple of different things tonight, based on everyone's conversations here, is the idea of that traveling, of that not looking back. That is sort of, that part to me is almost even more important than maybe the where you're going or where you're coming from, because as I said in the chat there, it all depends on your perspective or on what you're thinking about when you're going, whenever you're traveling. You are technically, if you go from point A to point B, you are leaving one place, going to another, and both places, you can sort of put that into the frame of, while you're coming and going, I'm having a hard time with words tonight, coming and going at the same time, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're going. So, and that's with thresholds. I find that whole aspect of this fascinating with the gates and everything and not stopping, because again, you're leaving one place and you're going into another, but then if you say you're coming back out, then you're still leaving one place and going to another. And so I really find that to be amazing, an idea, because then that does make you wonder if you're going back to the place that you came from, but you look back, is that, I don't know, it's almost like, why shouldn't you be able to look back? Shouldn't you be able to still keep a record of what that place was? But if it is some other level of reality, something imaginary, something spiritual, something in the dream realm, something to some kind of portal, there's just so many accounts of people when they go to places, they're walking through. Let's say this has been on my mind all night, and it's from earlier tonight. When I've found so many accounts, and I'm sure people here have heard these before too, of people that are walking through forests or nature areas, or just anywhere really, and all of a sudden the air feels different in a place. The energy feels different in a place, and sometimes they even see something that does not look normal, as far as an entity or a building that wasn't there before, as far as they knew, and they have to retreat. They have to go back the way they came, usually, or sometimes they go forward, but they just go as fast as they can. But a lot of times they end up retreating because they're so freaked out by this weird feeling, and so sometimes they look back, sometimes they don't. But when they look back, so often they get a sense of this feeling of fear intensifying as they're sort of trying to get away from this area, which normally before, if it's an area they've been to before, was never a problem. But now, for whatever reason, it is. So, yeah, all this is really fascinating. I'm really wondering now about just knowing things and experiencing things. I've been thinking about that too, with once you know something and it's something that you experience, again, going back with what Matthew was saying, it's very hard to not know that thing in a way, unless you find information that really does prove that maybe you experience something different than you thought you experienced. But until that happens, you know that thing, the way that experience happened. You know it as well as you can. And I guess there's always going to be a sort of a percentage of what you actually know versus what you don't. And I think it's maybe the intuition factors in there as far as knowing how much of that percentage you are aware of. Anyway, that's the start of my ramble for the night, and maybe if you have anything else to say, then maybe I'll think of more things after that.
You were the best. No, I think so. Part of what you touched on is in the write-up. By the way, guys, go check the write-up out. It's pretty good. And I'll read the final two laws. So if we're sniffing out these laws, these metaphysical laws, deep magic from the dawn of time, maybe we're onto something. Maybe this is sort of that substrate of reality quantified into words that humans can understand. You get what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm not trying to start a cult or, like I said, though, James, your robes are still in the mail. So let me know when they get there. If the color and the fitting is right, I definitely want it. I'm just kidding. But you get what I mean? Like outside of those sort of control mechanisms, dogma cycles I'm always talking about. And that goes for everything. It's politics. It's everything. Like I think when I say dogma cycles, I think people I can't know what you're thinking. The words I'm saying, I'm trying to convey them as much as possible, but as well as possible. But when I say dogma cycle, I don't necessarily mean religious faith. I mean politics. I mean all the things that we're sort of locked into as being human. That is false. That is literally as false gets from manipulation. So just as a reminder there on those. I'm not crapping on anybody. Like I said, I've done this for 7+ years. gone very hard to not intentionally crap on people, because I do understand some of the stuff is you got to tiptoe when you talk about these ideas because people do get mad. Back to the question for you, James, is the same question I asked to Jen, same question I asked to Matthew. Do you think with that intuition aspect, and do you think with the scholarship, or even, dare we suggest, artificial intelligence as this quickening begins, do you think that we're going to be able to at some point actually find these laws, the deep magic from the dawn of time codified in words that people understand? Or do you think that's just a fool's errand and a dream of troubled mind style dreamers?
I think it depends, because scholarship, to me, I wonder now, are we talking reports from people throughout time of their experiences? Because then I would say if you add that all together, like Matthew was saying as well, and I agree, you add that all together with the experiences that we have, those of us that have anomalous experiences, let's say, then that does really make you wonder what is going on. I know it's, to me now, I'm at the point where I know there are things that are anomalous that I can't explain. I can't tell anyone else that you have to believe me on that. You have to accept that I know this. But I know this for myself because I've had way too many experiences like that. And so I think maybe depending on what scholarship or what we read or take in, but I don't think it can ever completely lead us to knowing those things. I think, look at how often you hear about that. People say, well, if there was really anything out there as far as ghosts or aliens or cryptids or UFOs or whatever, if there was any of that out there, then we would have solid proof. And I go back to this over and over again because that idea, to me, in itself is impossible, because everyone will always have different ideas of what that proof should be. And everyone's ideas, a lot of times, are usually changing in different ways. So I think it's an impossibility there to get proof. And I wonder if that means it's an impossibility to know or to figure out all these rules of how things work as well because of that, because there's always change and always new information coming in.
Yeah, well said. All that. By the way, you sound pretty good on the phone. You sound pretty good on the phone. Volume is great. Delivery is great. The James is great. Look, I know, again, apologies. I thought we had it fixed at 95%. but now we have to take a step back and realize what the hell's happening. If I'll ask you some questions again offline, and we'll figure this out. Trust me, we're going to figure this out. It sucks that you kind of got to, again, did the work, went through the write-up, got the ideas, made some notes, and we're ready to go, and then we just couldn't get you on, man. It was thanks for toughing through it and getting back, and again, calling on the phone line. Like I said, you sound great. And there's well said, all that stuff. I think it's important to recognize once again what we know and what we don't know, and also that it's always changing. And that becomes really the part of the important part of being human to me. And that's why I'm back here, every other night or whatever, talking about ideas that I probably have no business talking about, right? I'm not qualified to talk about anything other than I'm just a human person, just like all the rest of you guys. So does that automatically qualify me? I think so, right? So this is my world too. And if I don't stick the flag in and say, hey, my world too, then everybody just wants to say, shut up, Mike. Nobody cares. Not you guys, but you know what I mean. As an individual, that's what we're dealing with. But yeah, again, thanks for jumping through the hoops, brother. And we'll get it fixed up. And you are the best, as you know. You got a final thought for us, and then we'll go to Matthew and wrap this up.
I just also think that we need to accept that others may know different things. And again, this is another thing I always come back to, is the stigma against anyone that has had an experience that other people don't think is possible. What if you're wrong? What if it is possible? Not you, obviously, not anyone here, but just in general. What if you're wrong about that? What if it is possible? Then you're not only sort of cheating yourself out of maybe some new information, but you're sort of putting yourself and the other person down in a way for not thinking maybe this could happen and there could be something to this, even if it's not exactly what it seems like it is. It's something that someone experienced.
Well said. Well said. As usual. Like, again, exercise detaching. Exercise recognizing that what you thought yesterday might not be what you think tomorrow. Recognize there are people out there that might know a thing or two that you don't. And that's reciprocal, of course. It means you know a thing or two that they may not. You see? Very yin and yang. I think this entire show has literally been yin and yang, including, of course, James, the sort of walking out of that space and being entangled with it anyway and trying to map it. That's in the write-up, by the way, kind of the moving through the threshold quickly to get out of it and then recognizing that you are still entangled with the space you emerged from, whether you stopped and looked or not. You're the best, James. Appreciate you very much. So much stuff here to talk about. We'll get back to this, as you know, because there's a ton of ways to consider these ideas and a ton more actual mythology and folklore that fits into this. But yeah. Appreciate you very much, brother. You are the best, as you know.
Thank you, and everyone have a great night.
James Salcedo, the paranormal expert in troubled minds, salcedoparanormal.com. Go check out all the things James is doing. Please follow his podcast. Please listen to his podcast. By the way, like I keep saying, and this is true, find me a better, more comprehensive paranormal catalog of all things paranormal on the entire internet than Salcedo Paranormal. Shout out Gen 2, co-hosting on the weekends over there. So many fire ideas flow through that show as part of this, and they're cataloged for posterity. Are you listening? You should be. You should be. Let me read these two things real quick, Matthew, and then we'll wrap this up. The final two laws. So if we're sniffing out these laws as part of this, we've got three. There's, just real quick, the cross-realm code of conduct, the forward gaze we talked about, the banquet of binding, and the gate protocol. I do have two more. Law 4, the reciprocity clause. Do not accept gifts unless you intend to remain in the realm, which kind of goes back to the eating again. The purpose, exchange is contract, very Fey realm-esque. Accepting creates a bond that demands repayment or presence. Mythic evidence, Celtic, gifts from fairies often carry binding obligations. Norse, accepting hell's hospitality signals acceptance of death. Shinto, gifts from kami or yokai, how do you say that, require service or devotion. Pardon my Japanese. And the larger context here is physical or energetic exchanges create sympathetic links like a magical handshake agreement. And the final one, the silence oath. And this is based on, as usual, as we delve these ideas out, maybe we're kind of building the metaphysical framework of what deep magic from the dawn of time actually means. But the silence oath. Do not speak until you have fully crossed back. Words can reopen the link or draw attention from entities in pursuit. In Finnish, underworld travelers warned not to speak until they are home. Greek, certain rites require silence until purification. The term is katabasis, K-A-T-A-B-A-S-I-S. Don't know if I said that right. Indigenous Americas. Some spirit journeys require fasting and silence on return. The larger context, speech is vibration. It can retune you to the realm you're leaving, undoing the exit. Quick shout out. We'll go to Matthew. Give me just a couple seconds here. Hiker emoji. Send your prayers and good vibes to our good friend Hiker over there on Rumble, who said, I hope if you guys can repin that comment that she said about Jen, pretty please. I want to read that because it was a very nice thing to say about Jen's call, that it hits hard. Jen is hot fire than a phoenix or something like that. If you guys can, if you can find it, I was scrolling trying to find it. Anyway, condolences to Hiker emoji, and thank you for spending your time and energy with us. send good vibes to our friend. And some losses are harder than others. And when it's very close family, it is, it is. We're thinking about you and praying for you if you believe in prayers and all the things. And yeah, thanks for peeling out a little bit of time for us. Shout out Tan Lines over there as well. Matthew in Colorado. The final two laws there, based on intuition and scholarship, the silence oath and the reciprocity clause. Got a final take for us?
Yeah, those were heavy. You opened up another 15 minutes that we don't have time for, but gosh darn it. But I've kind of had experience with that, and I think especially the exchange like of gifts, but you also said energy, kind of reminded me of what do you call them, where they come to you in dream time, but it might be or like the sirens, or the sort of sexual, or the words escape me right now, but
like the succubus is what you're talking about.
Yeah, succubus, yeah, and that's sort of a energetic exchange gift sort of thing that can like bind you across realms. And the silence one I related to as well. And there's experiences I've had, and that I one, I could not speak during them or after them, and I do not speak of them, and I definitely relate to that one. But back to what James said, I just had two comments there to wrap up. I think that, first of all, in going back to talking about knowing and personal experience, and I know what he's talking about, because, we both, for example, had UFO experiences, and it's really commonly reported that when somebody is an experiencer of any type and has had a firsthand experience, they almost always say something along the lines of, "I know what I saw." And like James said, besides some contradictory evidence that you were confused, or you misperceived, or you misinterpreted, when you have that type of experience or other experiences, it's like, I know what I experienced. I know what I saw. And, I pretty much don't care what anybody else says at this point. And like you said, though, too, it's important to remain open-minded, that other people, everybody's had different experiences. Everybody knows different things than other people know. But then there's some common ground, and we can exchange those. But it has to do with being open-minded. And the other thing I would say that I related to what James said was about proof and evidence. And I'll just close with a quotation I always appreciated, and that is that, and I don't know who said it, but they said, for the skeptic, no amount of evidence is sufficient, and for the believer, none is required.
Exactly right. And I call those reality tunnels. And it's important for us to talk about them and cross those barriers, because I think it's complicated. And that's the whole point. Complicated is okay. I'm not afraid of complicated. And look, many people are. Not present company, not included there, but you know what I mean? Like, we're sort of trained to be afraid of complicated, because people are going to get upset. People are going to be mad if you say something that they don't believe or whatever. But also recognize that in the span of the human space, like, we are, our reality anchors are based on these beliefs. Sometimes from, childhood, when we're like 5, we believe a thing because we believe the thing, and we never stop believing the thing, despite all the evidence or whatever. Or again, maybe you believe the thing entirely because your intuition tells you it was true. It was a true reality anchor. Look, it's important, guys. All this stuff is very important. Like I said, the dehumanizing people in terms of politics and religion and everything else is, for lack of a better term, it is evil. It is demonic. Okay. Like, define that how you like, but we should not seek to dehumanize people. We should seek to humanize people. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Appreciate you very much, Matthew. Thanks for hanging out with us and staying up late and filling in tonight and being the glue. And welcome back. I'm glad you're in a good spot too. Matthew's in a good spot. He's moved. What would you call it? Moved to a new space, a new place. And glad to have you back.
I had to move again.
Good.
I had to move again the other night, but interestingly, I'm back up in the mountains where I had my UFO sighting, right in the same spot. So I'm back on my home turf, and moved 3 times in 1 month.
Nice. Let's hope it's not a fourth. Shout out Hiker says this. Found the comment. Appreciate that. Hiker says this. Shout out Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. Says, wow, everything about this topic is hitting hard, and Jen is more on fire than a phoenix. Thank you, Hiker. Send your condolences, your etheric wisdom, your prayers, frequencies, vibrations, whatever you got to our friend Hiker. Like I said, some losses hit harder. Some are closer to home than yeah. So this one. Hiker, what's your mom's name? We'll dedicate this one to her as we get out of here, and say her name, speak it aloud, have the vibration of the energy go out into the ether as part of it, and sort of timestamp it into the moment. If you're okay with that, I don't want to do it if you're not comfortable with that. Look, in terms of being human, hey, like I always say, I excel at being human all the ways, right? I can be dumb, I can be smart, I can be motivated, I can be lazy, I can do all the things, right? And so can you. So let's find the things that push us into the space we need to be in. Find it from wherever. And part of why I do this and show up like the Rube Knucklehead is I hope this inspires you. I hope that you see you don't have to be some tenured academic at some Ivy League school to talk about philosophy, to talk about ideas, to consider the nature of actual reality. Because let me tell you what, those guys, fine, respect them or not as you see fit, but those people probably wish they could do more of the stuff we do. Otherwise they get, laughed out of town. Look at Avi Loeb getting laughed out of town for saying everything is an actual UFO or whatever. I mean, okay. Send good vibes to Hiker, please. Let's see. Found it. Okay. Watching this. Okay. Diane, you got the name. Okay. So here's the deal, right? Don't forget, this is not about truth. I didn't drop the disclaimers in the beginning. I should have. Truth is a slippery fish, as I like to say. Truth is your belief anchor. Truth is things that are always changing. It's a perspective. Marcus Aurelius. It's truth is a perspective. So just consider that as we move through this life together. It goes fast. I'm old. It goes fast. And I don't know. You know me. I try and gush about all the human things, not necessarily to remind you that's a nice benefit because so many people listen to this show. Thank you for that. But to remind myself. Because if I don't do that, that's easy to lose yourself. Yeah. If you want to help Troubled Minds, help our friends. troubledminds.org/friends. Very simple. Like I said, all the time and effort that went into all of this, I know you respect it. Please respect it by spending a little time and energy of your own to go to troubledminds.org/friends and follow all of these amazing people. If you should be on this list, you should be on this list. Let's go support each other. Sweets has it right. Always showing up at all the different streams, all the different people, the Troubled Minds fam, and the extended Troubled Minds fam, an algorithm stream, and all the rest. I mean, there's so many great people that have made this show go and are still out there doing amazing stuff. Please, let's help each other. That's what this has always been about. Don't forget to follow Matthew in Colorado, troubledminds.org/friends while you're down there. It's right there. Matt's books is what it says. Go check that out. As we finish, this one goes out to Hiker and your mother, Diane. sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.